I am so glad that you are here joining us for this build series because this car has been 20 years in the making.
And some cars are just absolute classics, absolute bangers, absolute best of all time of their specific era in space and time on the continuum.
I would agree with all of that. I used to have one of these cars 20 years ago.
I didn't.
I wanted to modify it. I wanted to make it mad. I neither had the friends, skills, or money to do it. At that stage, you get all the information off the internet. Everybody that was on the forums for these cars, they're always stoned. They didn't even go on car cruises. They just smoke a bong and float home. But now, all these years later, we're doing it properly as we can.
We're not smoking bongs because we don't do that, and we're not floating home just yet.
We're skidding home on the track.
Float home on a cloud of joy once this build's finished, but it's not finished, it's just kicking off.
We really hope you enjoy this build series because we are so excited. We're so excited. So thanks for joining us and enjoy the build of the 180SX. If somebody asked you what is the best car in the world, you would probably say
two-door STI.
A Volkswagen Up.
Daihatsu Charade.
And you might be right.
K-Truck.
Except you're wrong. It's actually an SR20 powered 180SX.
This is cool.
This here is going to be the dream build of creating the ultimate 180SX.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods.
Now, before we kick off, people, I just want to have a quick chat about some facts and figures and the madness that has been going on in the used car scene. Now, I bought this car in 2019, and I actually think I paid way too much for it. I've got the receipt here. I bought this car for $9,300, which is about 1,000 American dollars.
Now, even nearly 20 years ago, my mates were buying these for $9,000, $8,000, $10,000, kind of the same.
So pretty much for the last 20 years, the price of these has kind of been going like this. And then in the last 2 years, something happened. Something crazy happened, people, that I'm calling Cargate.
Is that like an Evo leaving a meet?
It's like a Mustang leaving a meet.
Cargate
is the madness that happened with used car prices. Now, there are two 180SXs for sale right now in Australia. One of them is a completely munted non-turbo that's had a different engine put in it. It's $35,000. And then there's another one that's like, that does have an SR20. It is turbo and 5-speed, and it's like $500,000. So what is going on? I don't know, but it would look like this car, which is basically stock and super clean.
Yep. Well, yes.
It's filthy, but it's super stock.
It's clean
and
from
filthy.
a distance. Don't look too closely. We'll fill you in.
Good from afar, but far from good. But now, because I actually have a history with these cars, with S13s, non-turbo 180s, GTIRs, S15s, it's now time to actually make the ultimate 180SX, the car that I always wanted but couldn't do, and now I'm going to do. And you know what? It's actually not going to be that crazy. This is my plan. A nice, clean, streetable 180SX with 180 kilowatts
Wrong.
at the wheels.
Wrong.
What?
If you don't make 1,000 horsepower, you're not really a person.
Oh, no, I'm not making 1,000 horsepower. Now, how much would this make right now? It hasn't been dynoed. I don't need to dyno. I can tell you it's going to make 110 kilowatts, maybe 100. So I'm pretty much going to double that.
With an exhaust, it makes 128, and then with a boost control, it makes 135, and then it goes bang.
So
because you put 91 octane.
I'm aiming for 180, but maybe I'll have a little flicky flick switch there that takes it up to 220, which is kind of what makes it awesome. But the goal is 180SX, 180 kilowatt. We're going 90s style, people.
We are.
90s style. So before we jump in, let's just show you what we're working with today. And then there is a boot full of spare parts, and then there is stuff that has been ordered all over the world that is incoming for this car. I'm very, very excited. This is what I'm all about, people. I mean, and
Volkswagens.
No, and this, and yeah, and falafel is good. Anyway, let's have a quick look around the car and then let's dive into the build. Welcome, it's going to be a magical journey. It's going to be great. Come with us, it's going to be awesome. Magic.
The mighty Nissan 180SX is probably my favourite car out of Japan. Before prices went crazy, these were an affordable way to get into modifying cars, track days and drifting, with a 2-litre turbocharged rear-wheel drive manual package, with a design that has actually stood the test of time. This one is quite simply the best condition 180SX I have ever seen, and I am going to honour that while also making it my own and building the car that I always wanted as a kid but never did. There are a few areas that need some attention, most notably under the bonnet, where it looks like we've got a blown turbo.
So people, 180SX, you've got a bit of info about it. There were about 300,000 at least JDM ones built, possibly more. I don't actually know the exact
Most of them have gone
stats.
up in bong smoke now. They are literally, they're either up in bong smoke or around a pole.
Or around a pole.
Like they don't exist anymore.
Or rotting in a wreck yard. Or some people are actually holding on to them as collectibles because as years pass and laws change in different countries, looking at you, America, it's then legal to have them. These did go to America in this stage, and also these things were built for a whole 10 years, even when the next model came out, which says a bit about the popularity. This is technically a hatchback. But I just want to take you back a bit because I've spent a bit of time in some 180s, stock ones, modified ones over the years, and also back when they weren't cool. I mean, they were cool because it was a JDM car, but they weren't like, you know, $40,000 plus. They were just nuggets that you picked up if you'd upgraded from a Corolla or a Pulsar. So firstly, stock, not that fast. Yes, they make turbo noises. Yes, it's got an SR20 in it, but they weren't that fast. You weren't really going to beat, you know, a Skyline or a modified thing. Rexys would give them a run for their money on the launch back in the day. So really, it wasn't this fantastical, magical driving experience. Can you drift a stock one? Yeah, particularly if you've got one with an LSD in it. They go sideways well, which is kind of partly what made them so popular. But everyone modified them. Now, why did they modify them? Because of the reasons I just said. They were kind of a little bit slow. They were kind of, yeah, okay at drifting, but you could modify them for cheap and get a huge, huge result. These days, maybe that's not as possible. If you go and buy a brand new, you know, Golf R, you got to spend big money and, you know, it's a big thing to go a bit faster. With these, it wasn't difficult. Exhaust, boost controller, and away you go. So that's pretty much what everyone did. Any 180 that you saw had wheels, coilovers, suspension, springs, boost controller, front mount. That's kind of what it had. And then the crazy ones, people would put Skyline engines in them, or they would, you know, build the engines and go stupid with boost. But we didn't have the fuel back in the day to make 1,000 horsepower like you can today, which is why you see cars doing it.
Martin, you are strumming my skin.
They were modified, weren't they?
No, because that's exactly what I had my 180.
Yep.
It's kind of like you got a Vertex style kit. I say Vertex style because most people, it's like, I've got a Vertex kit that they got off Nissan Silvia. No, it wasn't. It was a Vertex style kit. You do a front mount, you do an exhaust, you do an intake, you do some coilovers, and off you go.
I cannot even believe that I'm saying this. We are actually cracking out.
Oh, we're going to have a purity box.
I can't even believe it. Like, I can't, if you told me 10, 15 years ago that you would need a purity box for a 180SX, I would have laughed at you. But I know there's some people out there saying, stock, they should just be stock. The purity, you should never change them, you never mess with them. It's beautiful. This is a pretty nice one. Anyway, so yeah, it's pretty clean, but we are going to purity box it.
Replaced.
Yes, we're not going to throw the stuff in the bin. We are going to throw anything we pull off and put in the purity box. We're not pulling that much stuff off, but we are going to do some tasteful, nice modifications, just like every 180SX in the world has ever had before.
Yes, it's going to be good. Now, it's also probably worth saying this car is currently unregistered. Where did my paperwork go?
You kicked it.
Do you know where I kicked it?
You stomped on it. 180SX purity box? There we go, there it is, people. Back to standard. If it ever, I don't know why you would, but hey, it's there.
At the authorised inspection station, 180SX.
Oh, fail.
Fail! So it failed, and then, but when you go down to the notes and you go reason for the fail, probably not surprising in the best possible result there could be, is the tyres were bald on the back. And that was probably because this person did a lot of very sensible runs to the shopping centre.
Oh, totally. That's all you use these
to
for,
buy
right?
their dog food. So there is a whole bunch of stuff in the boot that came with the car. We're going to pull it out. We're going to see what we've got. Like I said, we've got lots of stuff coming. I think we just need to start just exploding it, getting everything done. Now, we also drove this car. We took it around the track and it was just blowing more blue smoke than its previous owners. Yeah. So we need to compression test it. And then the big exciting thing that's happening is the turbo there is going in the bin.
In the purity box.
Oh, sorry, in the purity box. It's not going
in the bin.
It's going in
purity box.
So one of the best things about buying a used car like this that is actually something that's quite niche is it actually came with a couple of boxes of spare parts. So we're just going to have a look through and see what we've got, what it is that we need to keep and what can go in the bin. I mean the purity box, so I'm going to put that one there. Get the purity box over here and let's just start seeing what we've got. So we also need the bin, Martin. Can we please put some of this in the bin?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, in the bin. All right, so for example, we probably can't put a flare in the bin, can we?
Probably
Well,
dispose
that's
of
from
that.
Yellow
You can
Hat.
dispose of that at a boat shop.
Let's see what's going on over here. All right, so
Are they coils?
These are like the special.
Yes.
Are they actually R8 coils?
I think they are. Well, yeah, they're basically what you find on Volkswagens, but they're good upgrades for SRs.
Awesome.
That's on the GTR as well.
Great. So yeah, NGK coils, and there is 4 of them, which is how many we need. So that is good. Martin, it's come with one of these. What is a 180SX without one of those hanging off the back?
Even though no one can actually travel Japan for years and seen one or used one. We've also got some stock hoses, which is pretty cool. So brand new, genuine Nissan hoses, which is cool. I believe that's a battery tray, which is cool. Oh, battery support, awesome.
There's that goes over the top of
More
there.
hoses.
We
What
have
else?
another one of these.
What's that for? I don't know, but they're little, there's 4 nuts for something. Pit work as well. I feel like pit work is JDM.
Well, yeah,
It is, isn't it?
Oil filters.
Yeah, you do see them, and there's lots of them. So either they're planning on lots of oil changes, or you've got basically like 2 years of ownership right there for your SR. Lots
We
of
also
hoses,
have
genuine hose
a
clamps.
Bam Bam box. We've done a whole episode on how to install one of those pieces of shit.
And yeah, more battery tray stuff. I don't actually know what that's for. Some 180SX
Oh,
nerd
yes.
will tell us.
Look at this, Martin.
Oh, new shift boot.
It legit needs one of those. That's unreal.
These are good mods. I believe that's sump plug. Pretty
Got
sure.
some
Yep,
cable
it's the
ties.
sump plug. I don't know what they are. Oh, sump plug washers. Yes. Someone cares about this car, man. What's that? Oh, that's for what's this for?
not know why the car came with this.
What is it?
No, stay still.
It's
Don't
hurting
look
me.
yet. No, it won't
it's
hurt you
hurting.
much.
I don't like it.
There
What
you
is
go.
it? What is it?
It's a bow tie,
It's a bow
man.
tie.
There you go.
Okay, fantastic. And little green things, I guess they go somewhere. And a pit work belt. Oh, that's actually good, man. That's like a full major service right there. That's awesome. I believe these things are timing chains, so we don't have to do a timing belt.
Over here is a bit more kind of random stuff. You've got your bow tie and your tissues. There you go. There's a bunch of mounts here. That's for adjusting coilovers that can probably go
I think
in
they've
the
got
bin.
old coilovers.
Battery terminals, NGK spark plugs, just kind of random things, but things that are handy to have. All right, let's compression test it. Then let's just pull it apart.
Sure.
And throw all the old stuff in the bin.
Done.
To the person in the YouTube comments that was upset that I got rid of my rubber floor mats from my Volkswagen Up, this is for you. And you can get...
I was going to use that one, and I was going to use that. Dude! No. No, look.
What?
Look!
What is it?
Nissan Motorco March. That's not 180 mats.
Whoa.
You chucked my
That
floor
is-
mats in.
That is legit worth a lot of money.
You chucked my floor mats in there.
They came with this car. That is not yours, but you can have it. That is legit worth money.
Mine.
What else is in here? That's March as well! We got March floor mats with the 180SX. That is
Super turbo
insane.
Thank you.
That is
I am
insane.
the comment section now
Wait
taking
on.
my mats back.
Is it possible that these here are for the back of the March?
Yeah, but look, they're pretty. Like someone's. Oh, it says March.
It says March.
It
That's
says
worth
March.
money.
Did you chop these in half?
Oh, wait on. That says March. Dude, there's a rear one. What are the chances? There you go.
Thanks,
Legit,
man.
take those.
I could have used them in my build.
And now I'll
What's that
put
one?
these ones in the bin.
Are they
great.
legit?
That says Nissan March!
No.
That says Nissan March!
That's my Nissan March too. Dude, the whole boot of floor mats is Nissan March stuff.
What does that say? That says Nissan March.
Thank
Dude,
you.
legit, that is worth money. I'm
reckon?
not even joking. Yeah, it's worth money.
Sick.
What is this? That was in the
don't know.
boot.
I don't know. Open it. Can you open it?
Oh, do you know what I think that is?
What is it?
I think that is the that's the sunroof
sunroof
piece of the.
protector. Oh, dude, you don't. Come on, man. That never. Just delete it. Edit that bit.
Now that we've seen what kind of extra loot we got in the boot when we bought it, the first step is to jack up the car and investigate what's going on under the bonnet. The bonnet is what we call the hood in Australia, and we call the trunk the boot. And gas, we call that petrol, because it's not a gas. Power's in kilowatts, measurements in centimetres, and shrimps are called prawns, damn it. And people over-revving their Hondas through fart can exhausts, we call them dickheads. We're removing the spark plugs so we can see what kind of condition they're in, and then we're going to set up for a compression test.
So because the car's been sitting, the battery's a bit tired, we are going to put it on charge. It's still in good enough condition to keep, but I do have a jumper pack on it just because we're going to be cranking. We've got our compression tester on cylinder 1. We're looking for 150, 160, but most importantly is consistency along the whole lot. So throttle open, fuel pump off, all the spark plugs out, and give it a crank please, sir.
Here we go.
Yep. 160.
160?
Yep, so cylinder one's 160. Can smell old fuel.
We go ahead and test all 4 cylinders and they're looking healthy at 160 PSI.
I just want to highlight how good the interior is of this 180SX. A lot of the time when you get these cars, there's kind of holes in the dash from where people in Japan have put gauges and all sorts of random accessories and stuff. This is so clean. It is, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. The doors, the carpets, the handles, there's no cracking on it. There's no stains or marks on it. It's amazing. So pumped.
So as part of our mild modifications, we are going to do a coil upgrade. We're doing that because we are also going to go to an aftermarket ECU to give us a bit more control and also give us the ability to do that. Now, this factory coils are known for cracking, and sure enough, even that first one has a giant crack the whole way down here. And it just makes them misbehave. It's sort of a common fix. So back in the day, you could just put replacement coils as aftermarket options as well. We're going to go for an even more modern coil that does require an aftermarket ECU to run it. So all this is going to get disconnected and pulled off. We just make a new little sub-loom that goes from here into the new coils. 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
That one, cylinder 4, straight down there.
Yeah.
Cylinder 3, 2 survived somehow, probably because they got replaced.
Probably because that one got replaced. Yeah, back when I had my 180 when I was young, every few months or something, it felt like you had to change these because I could never afford to change all 4 of them at once. So your car would start running terribly, you replace one of them, basically, you know, unplugging them, plugging them in again to try and work out which one it was, and then you replace that one, and then a few months later you're doing another one. And
it's just heat and age. These are like right down in the top of the rocker cover, and they get hot and they get old and brittle. Technology has advanced though, so the new ones that are in there should last forever.
Do you know where these ones can go, Martin?
Absolutely, they can.
So I'm moving the intercooler piping so we can access the turbo. I'm going to remove that because that one there is going in the bin. And
purity box.
What?
In the purity box.
Sorry, it's going into the purity box. And we have got a JDM S15 T28 brand new on its way, which hopefully will be here soon.
So nothing too unexpected under here. It does have aircon, but there's no belt on it, and there's a lot of grease and crud on the wheel, which makes me think it hasn't been on there for a while. A lot of oil on the sump, but generally that's coming from somewhere else. Some people look at the sump and go, oh, I've got an oil leak down low. Usually it's up top and it's running down to the sump and just covering everything. Got a rear main seal leak as well. That can end up with a slipping clutch, so I think we will replace a clutch in this.
Did you say there's some leaks under this 180SX,
Martin? And the other thing that's good to replace as well, if you don't know how long it's been done, is rocker cover, because a lot of the time just the smallest rocker cover leak can drip down and just cause an absolute mess. So I don't know where else Sylvia's leaked from, but rear main certainly, and rocker cover certainly, and there's quite a few over on this side where the alternator is. So we're going to fix all that because we should, because it's a mad car. It needs to be fixed. Next up, I'm going to spray all the old nuts and bolts with some WD-40 Specialist penetrant. It's a good idea to do this first. Get under here, spray it all, do other stuff, do what you got to do, give it time to get in there, and then you can release it. The dump pipe bolts and the ones on the back of the turbo and the exhaust are notorious for being rusty and gross on pretty much all cars. So I'm going to just spray every bolt in that whole setup and then come back later with some long spanners and attempt to crack them without breaking stuff.
We need to access the turbo, so the next thing to come off the car is the exhaust. This is made easier by spraying some of the rubber exhaust hangers with WD-40 silicone spray and then removing each section. While this car may still have decent levels of purity, it doesn't mean it's all in good condition.
So you can see also from up here that some of these hoses are starting to crack as well. So we're obviously going to be replacing all of this with a new piping kit, but these are kind of some of the things that you wouldn't normally see, particularly a crack like this, which is going to be hidden underneath these hose clamps. So all of that stuff is going in the purity bin box.
The next thing to come off is the front bar, so we've got better access and so we can remove the factory side-mounted intercooler. We are keeping these SSR wheels for now so that it's easy to move the car around, but eventually we will replace them with something else.
So we took our spark plugs out to do our comp test. We are going to throw a new set of NGK BKR6E plugs in. That is the one that is usually recommended on the factory listing for an SR20. A lot of people go to 7s if you're chasing a lot more power. We're not chasing a lot more power. These will be totally fine for our purpose. So we're going to put them in just so nothing falls in there. We are probably going to redo rocker cover gasket, but that doesn't affect the spark plugs, so I'm just going to wind them straight back in.
Standard spark plugs like these ones have a useful service life of somewhere between 20 and 40,000 Ks. That's going to be less in an engine that's tuned for more power or being tracked and thrashed. More modern cars often use iridium or platinum tips faults in the centre and ground electrode, which can go upwards of 100,000 Ks before needing replacement.
The front bar is ready to come off and go straight into the bin, except it doesn't fit. I've got another front bar to go on, which is an upgrade that I'll be showing you as the build progresses. But for now, we've finally got access to the turbo, so it's time to get it gone.
All right, this has been released from its prison.
Oh, there it is.
Please take it, mate. It's all yours. Should be disconnected, hopefully.
Still something down there.
Trick is to take the manifold off with all the lines still attached.
All right.
And there you go.
Let's have a look at what we got here, Martin. So this here is the factory turbo off the 180SX, which is around 30 years old. Yeah, the 90s was that long ago. The car's also done around 110,000 Ks according to the dash, but it is an import and it's possible that there was some sneaky shamminging going on somewhere. So maybe it's done 150, 160, 180,000 Ks. So that there is going to be replaced with a new turbo that is going to be due here soon, which I'm going to go through with you, which is very, very exciting. But for now, this one here, which we intuitively think there's something wrong with because it was blowing a lot of smoke, this one here can just go
in the bin.
So the factory turbo is now gone. The front bar is off, which is going to give us access to the side mount intercooler, which is literally about this big. Now I know there are going to be some purity police out there, but we are increasing the boost and I want to put a front mount on there and I've already bought it and already paid for it.
Plus
so
they look mad.
They do look good. So that is coming. So I'll get rid of the piping and the actual core of that. What about you, Martin?
So we also noticed when we drove it at the track that the suspension was a bit sort of clunky and thrashed. It does have aftermarket coilovers in it, but these are meant to be rebuilt occasionally when they wear them out, especially if you're giving them a hard time doing skids. So we think these are a bit wear out, but we've actually got some others that we want to put in that should make the ride bellissimo. So we're probably going to swap them out.
These ones are going
in the bin.
The other thing as well is this has the S13 turbo brakes, which as I understand it are single pot calipers, very typical of what you'd see on a base model Subaru Impreza or a Pulsar. Like they're just a bit bigger, but there's nothing particularly flash about them. So there are a number of brake upgrades you can do on these, including 300ZX calipers and calipers from other Nissans, GTR brakes, GTST brakes, stuff like that. You have to dial it in with how many studs you got, and we're staying 4 stud. So we're going to try and find ourselves a little brake, nice factory suite upgrade.
It was a very common thing to do back in the day to do a 5-stud conversion because then you got way more options for wheels and things like that. But I'm straddling the purity fence. It's like part of me wants to make the car way better, which we're going to do. The other part of me wants to kind of relive my youth of having a 180. So there's certain things that I want to do that may not make sense to everyone, but they make sense to me.
If we don't have to, you know what I mean?
I just want to keep it 4-stud until I realise there aren't enough wheels available, and then I'll be back here telling you why it's a really good idea to change the 5-stud.
Look, if you can find 4-stud wheels and you can fit your brakes, there's no other huge benefit for something making 200 kilowatts anyway.
Anyway, so look, this suspension's coming out, which is easy on this car. We'll take the brakes off, and then I'm going to start dismantling the rear of the car because we got some changes happening back there as well.
I'm refreshing my memory of pulling apart the rear of a 180SX by watching a video of me pulling apart the rear of a 180SX on YouTube that we made many years ago. All of this stuff is going in the bin. I mean, the purity box, and we're going to be upgrading the back with a Type X kooky rear conversion.
All the factory boost controllers coming out, along with the aftermarket boost control system, which is in there. So we're just going to replace it with a new Mac valve. You can recycle that kind of stuff, but it's often a good idea for the money just to play it safe with one that you know works. So that's going to come out. We might reuse that mounting system. We'll get some new hoses on there as well and throw this all in the purity box.
Martin, these are also going in the bin.
What are they?
The lights.
In the purity box?
I mean, yeah, they're going in the purity box.
Is that a khaki rear end and one's a kooky, one's a bookie and a schmooky? Isn't that what you call it?
Oh, I can't remember, man.
All those words make me feel a bit weird. People call them, I've got a schmooky kook MR2.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Good for you, man. All right. In the bin.
Purity box. Purity box, people. Because I'm going to sell all this shit and I'm going to buy an MR2 with it. And then tell him I did that later. What?
Stop this.
Don't put it in the bin, dude. It's a khaki light. It's a khaki light.
No, it's not.
It's a,
We're doing a kooky conversion.
it's a thing.
Martin,
Sorry,
you can't even say
I
that.
didn't mean.
You can't even say that.
No, it's
we had to cover you with a goat.
What is it?
Don't talk.
It's a car.
Martin, don't talk. You're wasting
Don't
the
put 'em in the
internet.
bin.
I'm not putting them in the bin.
You are.
I'm just,
Put them in the purity box.
I'm not.
That's what
I'm
it's
storing
for.
them in there until
You can have a pure, shitty-looking 180 using those lights.
I'm just storing them in there until the bin gets taken.
Just put them there. Don't
Why are you so upset
don't
about
upset
it?
the internet. Just be cool.
I'm just storing
it's
them in there.
your car, so you should do what the internet says.
Next up, it's time to remove the coilovers, which should be a simple and quick process. But due to one of these bolts being completely thrashed, it's taking way longer and is way smokier than it should be.
Oh, that's not going again.
Next up, I can remove the tiny factory side mount intercooler.
Alrighty people, here's where we're at. Front bar,
In the bin.
intercooler,
Bin.
intercooler piping,
In the bin.
turbocharger,
Bin.
exhaust,
In the bin.
wheels and tyres,
Bin.
brakes,
In the bin.
suspension,
Bin.
rear lights,
In the bin.
centre garnish.
Bin.
Oh, make it stop. Did I forget anything, Martin?
I don't know, but by bin we mean purity box. We don't actually mean the bin for most of the items that he just rattled off. No, purity box. You know what I love about this? Things like the power steering and the belts and all the other stuff that is really boring to fix and modify, they all work really well and everything's really clean. We slap some injectors in this, we slap an ECU in this, we slap an exhaust and a mad turbo on it.
Yeah.
And we're good, man.
It's going to be
It's
great.
gonna be excellent.
So we've been doing lots of ordering online and a massive box has arrived with a bunch of random stuff. So we've got it's a waterline kit, we've got some dampers for the bonnet, like different struts, so you get rid of that, which kind of makes it cooler. That one there, I'll show you that in a minute. That I'm very, very excited about. Boot kit because they're rooted. Oil filter, we did already get some of these with the car, but they are there. That's a fuel filter. That one is some, what's in there? NGK Iridium spark plugs, which is cool. And then we have, for the proper old school, we've got a Blitz front mount intercooler kit. What's in that? Oh, that's, I think, rocket cover gasket, Martin. That's good. In here we have, let's have a little look. All of this will be going on. I gather this is probably parts for the front mount intercooler kit, which is, yep, hoses, clamps, stuff like that. And then in here, turbo gasket. I think some of them are going to be coming with the turbo anyway. And then, here we go, the actual core for the front mount. Look at that. You know that's just going to be, you know it's going to be, adjust your pants, everyone. So that's that. Now, Martin's going to show you some shizzle, and then I'm going to show you the turbo.
I also have some amazing modifications to unbox, which I'm going to show you, and then we're going to smash them into the vehicle. The first is a set of Shockworks coilovers, which are made specifically for this 180SX. We're also able to specify, We're also able to specify what damping rate we wanted on the springs as well to kind of keep it nice and streetable, which is important, I think, because you put really, really stiff coilovers in a street car, you ruin it, and then you never want to drive it. We want the opposite effect with this. So there is some very sweet-looking Shockworks coilovers. Now, a lot of the people that make this kind of stuff, Shockworks are a good example. You just talk to them first, and you say, this is what I want to do with the car, this is how I'm going to use it. and then they can sort of give you some advice on what weight spring and the valving for inside the shock itself. So that's mad. So we've got a full set of coilovers to suit our 4-stud vehicle. The other handling mods we have as well is a bunch of white line gear, which is pretty cool. This is a sway bar kit specifically for the 180 also. So we've got heavy duty sway bar links and front and rear sway bars, which I'll show you because they're freaking awesome. These are also adjustable, so you can fine tune your suspension by fine tuning how stiff the sway bar is, or where you mount it, which sort of changes the way that it behaves, which is excellent. So we have our handling mods, which is our coilovers and our sway bars, like that. Get around the diff and get around the exhaust, etc. Which is pretty awesome. So throw them on, replaces the factory ones. And then, excitingly also, coils I spoke about last time. This is what's really cool though. This is a coil fitting kit. So this helps adapt the Volkswagen style NGK coils to our Nissan. Now you can get ones for various Nissan vehicles, S13, S14, S15, and the only thing that changes is the plug on the end. So what's cool about that is that now plugs directly in, which means you don't have to make your own loom, and then this end plugs into your car. Now because we are going to be adding a aftermarket ECU in the form of a Haltech Elite, we'll change this plug because we've got to run wires up from the ECU up to here so we can do sequential ignition, injection, all that sort of stuff, which is pretty mad. So that's a loom we got from Vag Parts, and this is the last and the exciting part as well, is our Haltech Elite and associated bits. We've also got a plug-in adapter so we can plug directly into the factory loom. The loom's in good condition, so why wouldn't you? Boost control solenoid as well, which we spoke about last time. And then we've got our Haltech Elite 1000, I believe this is. No, 1500. Cool. There's a Haltech Elite 1500, which you could convert that to e-throttle if you wanted to, but we're not going to today. And we also have our wideband, which means the car's constantly sniffing its exhaust to making sure everything's working and there's no pingers going on like that. So that's all the stuff we're going to throw in. It looks like a lot, but this is all like relatively easy and bolt in, which is very, very, very cool.
We also have a clutch in case the car ends up needing that, which it probably will. And we've got a new radiator over here, so that is going in just to make sure the car actually runs at the correct temperatures, because it's still, other than 1 or 2 laps it's done at the track where it just blue smoke everywhere, we're not really sure what state everything is in. And then we have over here our turbo, which I'm not even going to unbox until it's ready to actually put that on, because I'm trying to delay the gratification and excitement just a little bit, because there is so much mad stuff to go on the car.
So what has changed a little bit between now and like 20 years ago when you modded on the same mods is just a replacement radiator probably would have been over $2,000 for something that's like custom made. Now this stuff's been around for so long, there's been so much R&D, so much development, processes have gotten cheaper. You can get mods and do all this stuff with awesome new gear for a lot cheaper than it used to be.
Absolutely. And so when I had my 180SX back in the, I guess, early 2000s, a front mount kit installed on your car was around $2,500. Absolute madness. Now you can buy a front mount, like a really good quality one, for $500, $600, $700. Anyway, let's jump in. Let's run the music. Let's do this.
Modifying cars doesn't always mean more power, even though it usually kind of does. It also means making the car run better and more reliably. And one often overlooked issue here is cooling. It is hot in Australia for most of the year. Winter usually only requires some woolen undies and a hot water bottle to get through, and it barely gets into the single digits. So we have some mad new parts to go in to help with cooling, but first we need to clean up the dirty mess this Nissan has ejected out all over itself.
So if you need to measure some stuff up, make sure you check out the all-new black Mighty Car Mods tape measure.
While many parts of the car will remain pure, there is one piece that's about to get chopped, and that's the battery tray to make way for the cold side piping of the new front-mounted intercooler. There are some measurements available in Japanese, and using a translator helps us get a basic idea of what to do. Once the hole's been chopped, I'll be keeping the spirit of Nissan alive by painting the exposed edges with 240Z white, left over from our Fair Lady RB project.
With the radiator out and everything else out of the way, this is the best possible time to do some belts, and our previous owner has very kindly supplied us with the belts. So I'm going to rip off these old ones. They look not great, and replace them.
This 180 has some serious oil leaks. It appears to not just be engine oil, but power steering fluid as well. And the aircon looks pretty sad. I'm going to clean up the pulleys and replace the shagged belts, and then clean everything down so I can try and identify exactly where these leaks are coming from.
It wasn't easy.
Meanwhile, I'm getting our new front-mounted intercooler installed.
While we're up the front of the car, we're installing our new black alloy radiator. These are affordable, offer better cooling, and don't have 30-year-old plastic end tanks that can blow off while you're waiting for your drive-through slop.
For any purity police, now would be a good time to look away from the screen. I need to make some minor adjustments with an angle grinder. Yes, angle grinder and minor are not words that are usually associated with each other, but in this case, some trimming is required to fit in around the new intercooler.
A fuel pump upgrade is one of the first mods you should consider when going for more power. A consistent fuel supply means less chance of detonation and stable mixtures. Good quality aftermarket pumps are cheap these days, but beware of going too big and trying to flow more fuel than the rest of the system can accommodate. That usually causes more problems than it fixes.
Now, because Nissan love car enthusiasts, they made it really easy to change the fuel pump in a 180SX. You pop the boot lid, you pull out the plate at the bottom of the boot, and you yank it out. This is the original fuel pump. Looks very similar to the MR2 one of a similar era that I pulled out once, and similar to the Super Turbo one, funnily enough. That's the cradle that it goes into. Now we're going to put a new fuel pump in. It is possible to over pump your car. You base it on the power figure that you're chasing. We know we're going for 180 to 200 kilowatts. We don't need a huge pump. That's a Raceworks E85 compatible pump as well. We're going to put that in. So a little adaptation happens. It comes with a bunch of fittings and rubbers and stuff to try and help make it work, because this works with a multitude of different fuel hangers. Going to pop that in and we'll have all the fuel supply that we need.
There's often a variety of housings and brackets that you can install your pump onto. If you can get a specific drop-in kit for your car with everything done, that will make things easier. If you're customizing it, make sure the pickup point and filter sock are in the same position as the original. Then make sure it's firmly secured, and always use new hose that's submersible if it's inside the tank.
So the front mount intercooler is in, the piping is in, the radiator is in. We have a massive list of things to do, of which only 3 things have been written off. How are you going,
Exactly
Martin?
right. Fuel pumps in as well, which is a big one because we didn't need all that. And this all had to happen first. So there's a few things still to happen with turbos and ECUs and other fun things. We actually don't have our injectors yet, so we're waiting for some new injectors. And then we'll be able to slap that in as well. And we're actually, believe it or not that far from just turning the key.
I know, it doesn't look like it, but it is a pleasure to work on this Nugget, isn't it? If you've got an old Nugget like this, guess what? It's worth more than $33 now. I bought this for $9,000, but its value has gone through the roof.
Massively.
Now, Shannon's is a sponsor of our show, and all of our cars are insured with them, and when this is on the road, registered and rolling around, it is also going to be insured with Shannon's. They do a great value, so if you, like me, have bought a car for $3.50, and now because of the crazy second-hand prices that are going around, it's gone up, give Shannon's a call and adjust your value.
You'll end up speaking to someone who knows about cars. So if you go, I've got a 180, they'll know straight away why you're calling, and it won't be because you blew it up.
Yeah.
It'll be because the value has gone up, and it's worth updating every single year. Injectors need to arrive before we can change them. Fuel pressure regulator as well. Then we slap our turbo on. At Haltech, we plumb everything, we plug it in, we fill it full of coolant, we change all the fluids.
Yep. Yes. And our exhaust actually looks pretty good.
Really good.
I'm just trying to work out whether to go full me 20 years ago Canon or the twin tip. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think,
twin
people?
tip, man. Twin tip's the go.
There's nothing wrong with the big Canon either, Martin.
That's true.
Even though, you know, if it's too loud, you're too old, man.
That's definitely true. All
right, let's kick on.
I just want to let everyone know, because I think it's important, that this 180 is bloody excellent.
It's so good.
It's so good, man. I mean, except for the enormous, gigantic hit it's had on the front that probably bent one chassis rail into the other.
It hasn't been hit at
It's
all.
been stacked so bad.
No, it hasn't.
But it's a nice car that's been stacked. It's been looked after. All the parts are really nice. Nothing's rusty and munted. It's just really good, man.
It's about to be even better. Now, if you didn't know already, what is the plan for this car? A 180SX with 180 kilowatts at the wheels, which is about 80 more than it probably is meant to come with. Today, it's getting a new turbo. Now, we don't need a massive turbo because we're only aiming for 180 kilowatts at the wheels, which is not a huge amount of power, but it's actually going to be a really good amount of power for this to be a fun street car and get me back to my youth, people. So we are replacing the shagged factory turbo with a T28 ball bearing turbo. This is from a JDM S15. Random fact, I ordered this from High Spool, and the guy rang me and said, do you know who I am? And I said, no, but I hope you're going to send me a turbo. And he said, I was the one that helped you rebuild the turbo for your Miss Daisy project, which was our STI engine in the back of the Beetle that you can see up there. Small world. Now, here it is. This is exciting. Now, if you're going to replace something, Marty's and my philosophy is always try and replace it with something better. If you're going to go to all the effort of taking it out and redoing it, you may as well. So I could have got something the same as what was in there or tried to rebuild it, but if you can go better, go better. Now, Martin, do you want to bring that one over and we'll have a look? The biggest difference I can see so far, look how much bigger the wastegate actuator is compared to that one.
And importantly, the front housing. Massive difference.
So much
size
bigger.
difference. But it uses the same flange. So they say T28 because this flange here is the same, which means you can use it on our stock manifold, which is a low mount setup. So your other option is that flips the other way and you have it sitting up nice and high and proud. But this retains the stock positioning, which also means we can use these lines. So someone's put aftermarket lines on the turbo for coolant and oil. Yep. We'll be able to reuse all that.
Now, I know some people, want to make 1 million horsepowers for their YouTubing and their views and all that other stuff, but ultimately that stuff can often lead to a sacrifice in the actual enjoyment and drivability of the car. We've experienced it by making cars that have too much power or kind of seem cool on the internet, but they're not that cool, like our Mark III Golf, which is one of our most viewed videos ever. That thing was a piglet to drive. And just, and the police would pull you over every time you went out. Cool for what it was, but this here is meant to be a nice car that you can drive regularly, that makes good power and is fun enough to do a bunch of different stuff.
Ball bearing has a reputation for spooling up a bit quicker, and we're just going sort of like a little bit bigger, but not heaps, because if you put a massive turbo on a Silvia or an SR with an SR20 in it, you get a dyno curve that just goes right at the end and makes heaps of power, but otherwise sucks to drive on the road. So this is all about mid-range and just being able to punch the throttle, it responds and it goes.
And while there are sometimes recipes of what turbos work in different configurations, we know that this one here is going to work because this is a factory delivered turbo on an SR20 for a more recent model S15, so we know it's going to work. So today we're getting the turbo going. We're also getting our coilovers. We want to get the car rolling again.
Yeah.
So that's happening.
Some brakes maybe.
And some brakes. I also bought some seats off Facebook Marketplace. Now, I'll show you these in a little while. All you need to know is just to remind you, the car cost $9,000 and so did the seats.
Not quite, but
I mean, almost. I mean, it's when the seats cost almost as much as the car. We're in crazy times when it comes to second-hand goods, people.
Absolutely.
Crazy times. So, goals so far are get the turbo on, get the coilovers on. You've probably seen by now that we've opened a new workshop called Super Garage. So why aren't we using the hoist? Because we set that project and that place up so other projects could happen in there.
Because there's a broken RX-7 on the hoist.
There's an RX-7 in there, there's 2 other cars in there, and we've got some friends in there that are doing their project. Because workshops are like utes, everyone wants to use them. So we put a lot of time and money into setting up that space, and today we will be on our backs again in here, as we have been for the last 7 years.
It'll be fine.
All right, let's get to it.
This factory turbo has been spinning away furiously for almost 3 decades, and I'm stoked to be replacing it with something brand new that's capable of making even more power. But everything is rusty and rounded off, and that means everything takes longer than it should.
So this particular nut here on the manifold is already rounded over. Most of them look like they're fairly thrashed. I actually can't get that one off. I'm going to use some of the WD-40 Specialist Penetrant fast release and just let that soak in and just give it a little bit more and then focus on another one. I don't want to leave that one till last because, as Marty says, if you leave the hardest one till last, it'll be even harder. So there is one more to get to, which is under the line. So I'm just going to leave that to soak in for a little bit, take this off, and then I'll get back to that, and then hopefully I can separate them without using an angle grinder.
When we pulled this apart, I noticed that all the breathing stuff was a little bit smashed, like the hoses were unhappy and just cracked and not great. So what we've done is we're going to use a different solution for this catch can. This is like a factory catch canister thing, which is cool, but it's kind of in the way of the exhaust manifold. It's a bit messy, and there's heaps of cool aftermarket options out there, like this one, which is from GK Tech, which is an Aussie company, and they've made this awesome catch can that actually sits in the spot where your intercooler pipe used to go. So once you've got a front mount, you can then put this tank in, which sits there, which looks super neat. And it's a really quick and easy run of hoses straight from the outlet here into the tank and then back out again. So that's a mad solution. Looks cool, black, matches, just a bit neater.
The car is really starting to come together in that mad OEM Plus look that I'm going for. We've done so much already, but there is still so much to do.
All right, that catch can is installed. We'll do the hoses once the turbo's in there. We also just found out that our side feed injectors are actually back ordered and we can't get them for months. So instead we're going to do a top feed rail conversion. That's on its way now from interstate, and we'll be able to slap some injectors in.
With the catch can installed, I'm removing anything from the factory turbo that needs to be transplanted over to the new unit.
So I've attached the manifold to the turbo. Everything looks like it's been set up properly, and now we can...
Boost is calling.
What's that saying, Martin?
It chose you. It's time to begin your journey.
Great. Let's... You all right?
Yep. I mean, I'm working on a Nissan, so as all right as you can be.
Yes, we're at that most exciting part of the build where we're installing the turbocharger. That magical, mystical, mysterious and magnificent device that makes everything marvellous. Except it doesn't fit.
So the turbo that was already on the car came with this kind of aftermarket hose kit. I've reinstalled that in the exact same configuration that it was on the factory turbo, but it just seems to be fouling here on the stem of the wastegate actuator. So I'm just going to take that off and see if we can kind of maneuver it in a way that's going to make it fit better in the car. All right, take two. Reconfigured some of these lines, and now let's see how we go getting it into place.
It is pretty common for the factory oil and water lines to fail after lots of thrashing or lots of turbo swaps. It's worth remembering most of this stuff was only ever warranted for 3 years, and we're now 10 times that and it's still going strong. These aftermarket replacements are durable, but have their own issues of rubbing through things they shouldn't. With so many different bits to attach to our spoolie boy, we're going to leave it all loose, make sure the threads are engaged properly, and then tighten it down till it's happy, and check it all with a torque wrench. Brake caliper upgrade options are limited when you stay with the 4-stud hubs, so we're going to stick with the factory brakes for now. I'm going to clean up all the old gunk, check the seals and repaint them for an extra 25 kilowatts. We'll install brand new upgraded discs and pads as well as new brake lines, which should give good pedal feel and good stopping power for our desired power level.
Okay people, so it always takes a little bit longer to get things done than you think it's going to get done, particularly when things don't always work in their initial configuration.
And they almost never work in their initial configuration when a car's this old.
Bolt on, but the turbo is now mounted, manifold is done, so that part of it is done except for the drain of the turbo, which is not right. So we need to get
be a different
part.
size. I don't know if they changed it. I'm not aware if they did, but if we need to get a different part, it's just the bit that bolts onto the bottom of the turbo and turns from a 2-bolt into a hose to go back into the sump.
Yeah. Now we also ordered some more brakes and stuff, so we haven't ended up getting the coilovers done today because we're just going to have to take them out again anyway because there's still a bit of stuff that has to be done up here. So basically we want to do that and the brakes and wheels and tyres all in one go.
And the calipers have been fully stripped and blown apart, cleaned up. They're in really good condition, which is awesome. Don't need a full rebuild. All the boots look really good. Just going to clean it, paint them up so they look cool. And then, yeah, use that with our new rotors, which will get the sort of best we can get with the factory brakes, because we're staying 4-stud. It limits you to what brakes you can do. So these are fine, especially if you upgrade your rotors and pads, and make sure your calipers are good. We'll put some braided lines on it. So it's going to be good.
Back in the day, people did do 5-stud conversions. It was a really common modification people did. I didn't do that for my massive 16-inch wheels, but the parts were just not available. We did explore that option, but it makes finding wheels really tricky. So at least just to get things moving around for now, we might end up with these painted, or I might just have to buy some cheap wheels off the net until we get something from Japan. I'm not sure yet, but we will get something just to put on there. It may not be the classiest, most fancy wheel or the best option, but it'll just be enough for us to roll the car around, because at some point we've got to do a clutch as well. There's lots of things to do.
We've also got injectors on the way too. So yeah, a few deliveries still to come, but all fun stuff to put on.
We've decided to rebuild the factory brakes, which should be fine for now for our 180SX with 180 kilowatts. Marty's also given them a coat of heat-proof red paint, and we've got a whole video on how to do this if you want to check it out. Meanwhile, I'm working in the boot trying to get out the existing coilovers, which is proving to be harder than expected.
So I managed to get one nut off in the back of this 180SX.
That's grot, man.
But
grot.
which is a 12 mil, but my 12 mil
info.
spanner now does not fit on the other nut. So why is it when someone's installed the coilovers, only 2 nuts are required? Why would they be different? And why this one here is okay, the other one is just completely rounded over? Why? You don't need to do them that tight. I don't understand.
The car came with coilovers of unknown conditions, so we're going to flip them and install a set of new ones. We've also got some mad new slotted brake discs for the front and the back, which along with a pad upgrade will be perfect for this level of performance and means we don't have to mess around with the master cylinder or the booster. We're installing a set of Shockworks coilovers that we've had made specifically for this build that have been valved and sprung to suit how we want the car to handle. It is possible to ruin a car's ride if you get the specs really wrong, so it pays to do some research first. In our case, with this car now being a classic, we've gone for a setup that's good for 80% pace, foremost to enjoy the driving experience. We're running 7 kilo and 4 kilo springs and one of 15 different valve specs to specifically suit S13 for street driving. But for a sometimes track car like this, there is enough flexibility in the built-in adjustment to have a bit of fun. Only if we went up in a tyre size or went full race car will we need to pull it all out and rebuild to suit higher speed and bigger tyres.
So before we put the new brakes on, we're just cleaning up the hub and just getting rid of all the grease and grime and grot that's on there. Of course, to clean the brakes, we're using WD-40 Specialist Brake Cleaner. That's exactly what this is made for. So we're basically going to give that a good shake, soak all of that up, and then I'm going to agitate it with a wire brush. Got a little pan to sit underneath to just catch all of the grot, and then that'll be nice and clean for our new brake upgrade.
After my big battle with the original factory bolt, I've decided to install an adjustable camber bolt kit near the top. Whiteline make this one. It gives you up to 1.5 degrees camber adjustment at the bottom of the hub. Sometimes you also have adjustment on the top of your coilover, and you can also actually use both just to fine tune it to get the angle right and to get your alignment perfect. Bullshit, you didn't.
I did not.
It's so full of shit.
I actually didn't mean
it's
to get
so full of shit. Go.
I didn't.
Go.
Sorry. Do
it.
I'm trying to. Sorry.
It's important that new discs are cleaned before you install them, as they often come from the manufacturer covered in a film of oil to prevent them corroding on the shelf. We'll be installing some braided lines when they finally arrive. I'm also going to touch up some bits that I mangled when I was installing the calipers.
We have made some progress, people. We've got our list, and we've just added 5 items, and we're probably only going to cross off 1 or 2. But I feel like we've made progress, even if the list does not agree.
It was meant to be a fairly simple project, really. It was meant to be...
It is simple.
It was meant to be... I don't want it to turn into Yellow Civic.
Don't worry. That'll never happen again. Coilovers.
Coilovers done.
Done.
They're in there.
Brake calipers, paint. Done. Rotors and pads. Done.
All of that still to do.
All that's still to do. So some of this stuff is going to be much easier to do on a hoist, like changing the clutch. So we're going to head over to Super Garage to do that, and also our sway bars.
Yeah, as you may have seen in some of our other videos now, we have a secondary overflow workshop which is called Super Garage.
With a hoist.
So we are still Mighty Car Mods. This is the Mighty Car Mod space. There's just a garage that's kind of a collaborative space that our friends are using as well. So we'll have to go over there today and try and get ourselves onto our own hoist.
Sounds good to me.
But it means that we can now get on a hoist and do some of this stuff. We could struggle on here, but why? When we can just go over there and do that.
There's also some things that, like for example, our turbo's on, so we could put our exhaust back on, but you've got to pull the exhaust off anyway to do the clutch.
Yeah.
So that's going to stay off for a little while. Wheels are still on their way. Brakes are done. No point bleeding that either until we can also get that on a hoist. We can gravity bleed it and we can check everything and just flush it all out and do some of our oils.
Yeah. So all of this stuff here, that there, we're going to pack up in the truck and take over there. And there's also, if you just swing it over here, we've got some seats. They're coming soon. And then all of this is all mostly genuine Nissan stuff that has come from overseas. So all of that's got to go in as well. And then there's a new front bar as well. And yeah, all sorts of exciting things in here that we'll get to soon. So anyway, for now, we're going to take it down off the quick jacks and take the car over to Super Garage and continue on the hoist. So this here is our all new workshop, Super Garage, where we go when things get a bit too complicated or not enough hoisty at the other place. There's a whole bunch of Super Garage merch if you want to check it out. You can go to supergarage.com.au, and you know what, let's just get crazy. If you enter the coupon code 180SX, you get a discount.
Sweet.
Call it 10% off. You can grab yourself a shirt or something mad. All right, so now we can get on the hoist, and hopefully this becomes a whole lot easier.
The back's too low to get on the hoist, so we have to jack it up because we didn't adjust the coilovers before we put them in.
Martin, what would you have though? I mean, you've got two mad white Nissans right here.
Yeah.
What would you have? It's not a hard choice, is it? Out of these two white Nissans.
Kind of a hard decision.
Out of these two white Nissans that are over here. See these two white Nissans that are over here,
I can't see them
Martin?
because I'm just distracted by this blue coupe from the 80s that's just so sick and triangle-y and Dorito-y.
I mean, the choice is, I mean, which one would you have, Martin? Say it on three. 1, 2, 3, 180SX.
It's not what people want to hear. It's not what the internet thinks. That is a whole generation older and feels it when you drive it. But it's about the feel and the spirit, and it's about the noise and the visceral, emotional in touchness with your butt.
The answer is a 240Z with an RB. Don't listen to any of this bullshit.
A what?
But this is, actually the answer is both.
Yeah, both.
As long as it's not a rotary, I'm in. You?
I agree with that.
While we're on the hoist, I'm going to be changing all the fluids, including the engine oil, which hasn't been done in years. We're also going to be installing some more handling mods, which means the factory sway bar can go in the bin.
Now we're up on the hoist, perfect opportunity to upgrade our sway bars. Now Whiteline, who are a sponsor of the show, have sent a bunch of parts to basically modernise the sway bars that's on our car. The 180, designed in the probably early to mid 80s, did come with factory sway bars, which is pretty cool. The ones that we're putting on basically mirror them, but they're also adjustable, which means you can fine tune the way it behaves. It also comes with a mounting kit, which is pretty extensive actually, heavy duty, new rubbers that go through the middle as well. And then this basically converts it so that you can use a blade type adjustable sway bar, which looks like this. So the factory one, the mounts come up the bottom, this sort of bends around and whatever, the bushes are a bit cracked, so these kind of need to be changed anyway. This sway bar, we are basically adapting it so that you can select the different holes in here, and that changes how rigid the bar is, which changes the way that the car responds. So during alignment or even just when you're out in the track, whatever, you can get in there, just take one bolt out, throw it through the next one, put it back in, and you've been able to fine tune the way it behaves, usually to do with oversteer and understeer.
So a sway bar is a part of a car's suspension setup that is designed to connect both sides of the car together to provide some rigidity so that when the car is turning, instead of tipping over, the opposite side of the car is actually working in harmony with the side that wants to tip over. Now, with a four-wheel drive, for example, like when we're off-road with the Jimny, we actually wanted the two sides of the car to be operating independently, so we took the sway bar out completely. Why would you change it? To offer some more rigidity, and also with aftermarket ones, you actually get different options of how it's set up and some adjustability like on these white line ones.
So the classic way of upgrading your sway bars is just to get the factory one and just put a bigger one on. So it's just actually fatter, mounts in the same spot, but it's a bigger diameter, which means it's stiffer, which means it has more of an effect. So these ones are called blade adjustable, which means you can just change where it's mounted, and that in some ways lets it sort of artificially increase the diameter of the bar because it's all stiffer. So you mount with the hole close to the bar, that's going to make it stiffer, and further away is going to make it a bit looser. You adjust it front to back to sort of dial in what you want the car to do. You also don't have to have coilovers, you don't have to have any fancy suspension in the car. You can literally get a stock car, sway bars and some good tyres, and there's people that will just pump everyone with that setup because it just stops it rolling, dials in the understeer or out of the understeer, whatever it is you want, and you just go smash everyone with it.
And I think like with a lot of modifications for the car, it always comes down to working out a ratio or a bias based on what your interests are. I mean, you can make a track car that is great for the track, but then maybe there's a downside of that. And the Lotus was a really good example, you know, really great on the track, but not a great car for just kind of driving around day to day. The other reason for changing this stuff is that underneath this car, all of these kind of mounts, the bushings, this stuff's like 30, 35 years old, and if nothing else, it's a great opportunity to change all of those things, but our philosophy is always, if you're going to pull the stuff off, you may as well replace it with something better, which is what we're going to do.
And if you can't get these parts for your car, replace those, because a lot of they're common, or you can get them remade in the same. If you've got something really weird and rare that doesn't have aftermarket stuff, replace those bushings because they get real stiff and then sort of stop doing what they're meant to do.
While the car's on the hoist, we also decided to install a new clutch and get rid of any old juice that's been sloshing around for years. After going to the effort of removing the gearbox, it actually looks like somebody's already installed a new clutch with next to no use, so it can all go back together with some new gearbox oil.
The end links connect the sway bar to the rest of the suspension, and in the case of our upgraded ones, they are adjustable. It means you can set the preload during an alignment, and this usually means relaxing the bar so it doesn't actually activate until you load it up through a corner. In terms of initial settings to get it to the alignment shop, we want to match the factory positioning as much as we can. And with the end links in place, we can then install the mounting bushings and we're all done.
Pretty much everything you can see in the background there, with the exception of maybe the laptop and the drink bottle, have to go in the car before it starts.
Yeah.
But we have some things to go in, like a fuel system up here, some ignition coils over here, some intake piping, some intercooler piping.
Injectors.
Injectors. Kind of not much. Actually, it's actually not that much, and this is fun because we're going to make it all work.
Let's
Dude, we got this.
Let's call it for what it is.
We've got this.
We've got injectors, we've got coils, we've got intake, there's some turbo bits, there's exhaust, there's our Haltech that's actually going to make it work. We've got no fuel. We just checked, if we were professional, this would have a thing on it that says no oil. You know they always get a little brown tag with a bit of string? Yeah. That's not on there. At least these are done up, I call that Hilux tight.
90s Nugget is your middle name, don't worry about it.
Anyway, so there's a little bit to do, but what
I'm getting super keen.
I can assure you, actually I can't assure you that it's going to start because this car's...
Yeah, but it's got a new turbo.
That's why we're doing all of this work.
But there's nothing better than putting a new turbo on your car.
Yes, that's right. And so that's what we think was wrong with it. We don't actually know.
No idea.
It hasn't been started or driven for years. I mean years. So we could get through all of this, turn the key, and it just goes kick it, and then we just get back to Volkswagen Up. We just get back to stuff that we're this is way better than Up. I'm not even going to shoot you with that. This is actually where it's at.
Bloody excellent.
We're going for a massive 180 kilowatts.
It's gonna be excellent.
Martin, let's
just
kick the tunes. What kind of tunes do you want? You want some hip hop? You want some EDM? You want some D&B, some jungle?
I want EDM, D&B.
All right, let's kick it. Let's get some work done to my Mad 180.
In the late 80s, there would have been a whole bunch of business meetings involving Sake and Crab to wheel and deal an injection and ignition system for this car from the various suppliers around Japan. Nissan themselves would have spec'd what they wanted, and then the accounts department would have torn it up and given them side feed injectors and coils that always crack. Fast forward 30 years and we have an enormous aftermarket and technology that can make power reliably that those engineers could only have dreamed of back in the day. So we're going to throw in a set of top feed injectors into a new fuel rail, add a GFB pressure regulator, and then set the whole lot on fire with a set of NGK coil packs spec'd for an Audi R8 that makes somewhere upwards of 400 kilowatts. Importantly, it's all new with 0 kilometres on it, meaning reliable power with plenty of headroom to turn it up later.
So GFB in Australia have sent me a box full of stuff for my Mad 180SX. So in here we have a boost gauge, I didn't even know they made boost gauges. They've been sponsors of our show for like a decade. I didn't know that they made boost gauges. But look at that, that's like one of the mad, like it's all blacked out, and then when you turn it on, it's gonna light up and be unreal. That's really cool. We'll run that definitely. Got a bunch of fittings in here. We have it's probably a fuel pressure, it is, fuel pressure gauge here, and some associated fittings. And then of course, here it is. This is what we're all about. This is the, I mean, you would have seen these on the show. GFB, they're the best blow-off valves in the world. They just are. We've used them forever, designed and made in Australia by our mate Brett. We've actually got a whole series on our second channel, MCM TV2, where he comes and does a bunch of technical videos about boost leaks and smoke tests and all sorts of really technical, interesting stuff. So I'll link that up there, or link it down below. This here, of course, is a valve that I've used in so many different cars because it has this awesome bias, so you can either vent all the way out the schnorkel, or you can kind of recirculate it, or a bias it anywhere in between. That is awesome. And there's a bunch of fittings and other bits and pieces in here. That's unreal. Thank you for sending that over. Let's keep going. Let's keep installing. We're going for big power, people, 180 kilowatts. Oh, and there's also our GFB fuel pressure regulator. I think you meant to open this. I'm pretty sure it says open on a table so you don't drop stuff out of it. Not like this. There it is. So the fuel rail is in, the fuel pressure regulator and gauge is in. I'm about to do the fuel filter. The old one, the stuff coming out of it just looked like mud, just like dark brown.
And this smells like old shellacky, like fence paint.
Smells great.
So that's, bad thing about having them sitting around while you're getting ready to fix them up. But the good thing is we can drain the fuel tank, and basically every bit of the fuel system is now new, including all the way up to the injectors. And this is a really nice top feed conversion. Really common now because these injectors are like a more modern and available system than using side feeds. We were going to just slap new side feeds in it, but then couldn't get them in time or whatever. So top feed rail, the only difference is you've got to sort of customize your own bits. But if you're putting an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator in any way, it's not that big a deal. Fuel goes in one side, comes out the other, through the reg, back to the tank. Job done. And a gauge on the front, which is super easy to set your pressure.
We're starting it today, people. Car's going to start. So stoked.
Now the mad thing is these little adapters, so these go on the injectors, because the injectors are, I don't know, Bosch or something, and then our connectors are standard Nissan, so that also saves you having to cut everything up and resolder everything. The wiring doesn't quite fit in its factory location, so I've just sort of started to strip it back, and we'll tuck it in and make it look neat.
When it comes to boost, we need to add a valve in line with the hose supplying pressure to the turbo wastegate diaphragm. The function of the wastegate is to regulate how much exhaust gas passes through the turbine and how much pressure is vented out. By lowering the pressure to the diaphragm, more boost is required to open the wastegate valve, which results in higher levels of boost. We'll achieve this by installing an aftermarket boost control solenoid. Its function is to allow the pressure supplied to the wastegate diaphragm to be controlled by the ECU. In our case, a Haltech Elite 1500.
So most of the work under the bonnet or the hood, if you're a friend from the USA, has been done. Next up, we need to make the thing all work. Haltech run an adapter, which is this. This is plug and play. So basically we've got a Haltech Elite 1500, and this here will plug directly into the factory loom, which is freaking awesome. And then we can get the car on the dyno so that Scotty can dial up our magical 180 kilowatts. It's probably gonna make a little bit more than that. I don't want 1 kilowatt more. 220.
240. It's 240Z, isn't it? No, it's a 240S. What are these in America?
They call them a 240SX.
240SX.
Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
What a dumb name.
It's weird, because it's got a 2.4 litre in it.
Does it? That's a smart
180's
name.
got a 2 litre in it, work that out. Anyway, the reason that this is kind of cool is this is like an adapter plug, so the factory wiring loom goes click straight into there, and then out of here we go from these plugs, and then that plugs directly into the back of our Haltech, like that. Super simple, and what we've tried to do is use as much existing factory wiring as we can, unlike some of the old crud we've worked on lately, Mazda RX-7, where the wiring was completely cactus. This stuff's pretty good. So we can use like the factory boost controller wire, and that will incorporate this.
Yep.
So we don't have to run any wires through the firewall, even the new coils we put in, through the firewall.
I'm going to install it.
Fantastic.
Right now. All right, there is the factory ECU
In the bin.
being replaced with this. I do have some sad news though. We're not going to be able to get it started today.
What?
We're actually missing some stuff from the intake.
Yeah,
So-
we are. I'm going to go pick it up like now, and we'll start it tomorrow. We're going to start it, don't worry.
We'll start it tomorrow.
It's going to be so good, man.
Haltech make a patch harness that makes this ECU a direct plug-in, and it's all pre-configured for our car, making this super easy.
The 180SX list is getting shorter. We did a whole big day of it. Haltech,
I just
Done.
did that. Boost controller.
yep.
Is
Sway
in.
bars are in.
What does P plus mean?
I don't know what the P means.
Okay.
Coils and wiring I've done. Awesome.
Wideband,
Exhaust can't go on yet.
Exhaust can't. Oils. We've done diff box, not engine.
We've done brake lines, which I think I saw somewhere here, or brakes. Oh, lead brakes, brake lines, yep, done.
Yep, that's done. Wheels, not yet.
Spark plugs,
Body
done.
kit, not yet. Spark plugs, done.
Turbo
Dampers,
drain.
no turbo
No, I have to
drain.
drill that out.
None of that. What's gross?
brake lines.
What's gross member nuts?
Cross member nuts.
Oh, okay. Good.
That's good, man. It's getting there. I mean, that's an easy one. Just throw some tyres on. That's got to go back on anyway. That happens at the same time. Engine oil's easy, and then these two are like big, and that's once we get it back from paint.
We are just about ready to start and run this thing, but first we're going to make sure it's got all the necessary fluids, like some Castrol Edge oil and some coolant. The best way for an aftermarket ECU like our Haltech Elite to get feedback is to install a wideband oxygen sensor. Sometimes they can be fitted in the same location as the factory narrowband one, but in this case we're going to weld on a threaded bung that the sensor can screw into, and then connect it all into the wideband controller and then into the ECU itself. Finally, while priming the fuel pump, we're going to set our adjustable fuel pressure regulator to around 40 psi, load up our tuning software and give it a gutful of crushed up dinosaurs.
All right, after all this time, it's finally at the stage where we've got to turn the key. Dave, the absolute legend, is here to help us. He was just telling us about how he got stung by a jellyfish. That sounds shit.
Sounds so not fun.
Sounds so shit.
This will be so much less painful. Well, it's a Nissan, so you never know.
It'll probably be just as painful and just as smelly.
All our mods are in place. The intake pipe is done. We recycled an old bit from an old Subaru on that. The wideband sensor is in as well. We also made one little change where we ran the map sensor. We were going to have a big 2 metre long pipe that goes to the ECU, but actually it's just neater to put a map sensor here and then run 2 metres of wiring, because apparently electricity moves faster than air. I don't know if that's true. It sounds like it is. It sounds smart. I'm going to say it is. So we haven't started it yet. We've primed it. It's got fuel. We drained all the old crappy fuel out and we put new fuel in. And now it's the moment of truth. Don't know if it's going to work. No idea.
I'm turning the key, everybody. Here we go.
Nah. That's a big NO from Dave.
So one of the things that complicates a nice, simple, easy starting procedure is this car has this, I understand why it's in there. It's got this kind of hidden kill switch, but it's this kind of momentary button that's hidden under there. So you never really know where, because I can turn it like this and all the reds and stuff come on. Like it looks like it's primed, but there's no fuel pump priming until, if you listen now.
And the fuel pump relay clicks, but the pump doesn't go.
Well,
so
no,
it's
now
like after the relay, which
not
is
working at
also
all.
not great.
I'm going to hold that.
There it goes.
There it
You
goes.
can hear it.
Because I'm holding this stupid button.
Which means it doesn't prime, which means it's going to take longer to start. Anyway, we'll work that out.
Here we go.
Try again. Oh, it wants to go.
It's going to go.
Is it going to go?
It's going to go.
No. Oh, dude, it's going to go.
So close.
That needs a bracket badly.
It's another prime. This is it, people. If it doesn't start now, I'm giving everybody a discount on the shop. And if it does start, they're not getting anything. Does that make sense?
No, not really. Just do it anyway. Oh, I don't like the sound of that.
The discount is 180SX. And you'll get 10% off Super Garage t-shirts. Well done, I already said that. You need something else. It's 180 Nugget is the discount.
Sure.
Cranking backwards on itself.
Sounds really bad.
Not in the sex move way.
So what has happened is, this is an aftermarket loom to run our Audi R8 Lamborghini coils, Golf Polo Jetta coils. Anyway, and It plugs in, but there was question marks as to whether it's the exact right one for our particular version of S13, SR20, blacktop, blah, blah. So there's a possibility it's just not exactly in the right configuration. Luckily, this is easy to fix because they just need power and earth, which they've got all of them, and then there's just 4 different signal wires. The easiest way to fix it is just to repin it down at the actual Haltech plug. Just go, if this one is supposed to be cylinder 1 and it's 2, you just swap them over, beep it out, make sure it's right, plug it back in and crank it again.
Hey Martin, are you trying to tell me that the configuration of an Audi R8 supercar is different to this 180SX?
I'm trying to say this 180SX is better.
Yeah.
Which I know is what you're getting
Audi R8's got it wrong.
Yeah.
Dave knows.
Next.
He knows.
All right, that is cylinder 4. Okay, it was very backwards, people.
With Dave's help, we're going to repin some of these plugs and then we can attempt to start the car again, hopefully with everything wired up exactly as it should be.
It wants to go.
It's about to go.
Your kill switch, I think, is doing stupid shit again because it did run out of fuel. Now it's on again.
Good job, Martin. Good job, David. Thank you very much.
The car starts after years of sitting in storage and running like absolute arse when it did work, and I am so excited that it finally has pure Nissan power running through its veins again, and I have pure Nissan power running through my veins again too.
It has been a big journey getting it to this place, but the journey is not over. We're not even near the tip
No.
of the mountain.
No.
Are we, Martin?
No. Not near the tip of the tunnel.
It's screaming, making weird noises.
Yep.
It's leaking oil. It's leaking other stuff. I don't even know what else it's leaking down there, but there's colours of liquid that I don't even remember putting in the car. So there's a couple of little things to do.
There's an empty power steering reservoir for some reason.
starts.
There's an oil leak, which I'm pretty sure is a turbo return because it looked a bit dodgy, but we'll get under there and have a look. But yeah, it starts, which is awesome, so it can move to its next stage.
Yes.
What is that stage?
Oh, you're
What's
about
the
to find
stage?
out, people. You are about to be flipping over backwards, naked, like a squirrel with nuts in the middle of hibernation and your spare room's full of food. You invite all your friends over, next thing you know, menage a nut.
I can't
squirrel.
even imagine
It's gonna be
what it's
amazing.
like to be inside your brain. S13, Nissan SR20, sounds like poo, is awesome.
You actually appear to be loving it even more than me, if such a thing is possible.
I love this. This is my favourite thing to do to cars, like make this all new and modern and nice and work and like R8 calls, dude. You got an Audi now, basically.
I've already got one.
Oh yeah, true.
If you are
Next big step for this build, which we are just ridiculously frothing for, is paint. Our mate Trung from Powderhouse agreed to make this thing look as good as the day it rolled off the production line. Maybe even better, because we're using some properly mad quality materials to make this thing look epic. Step 1 is to spray a guide coat and then strip off the stuff we aren't keeping, then block the car back to try and find any damage that might be hiding under its 30-year-old paintwork. Turns out there are a few bits that need a new section of metal welded in, mostly on the boot, and we're doing the second lot of indicator holes while we're at it.
I mean in large amounts, my daughter gotta eat too. And I'm
Overall, the panels are pretty straight and only a few spot repairs are required before the car can be put into primer. We're also doing a new rear bumper bar, which, unlike the rest of the car, is fiberglass, so making this thing fit is challenging. With the new parts fitted and the repairs done, it's time to roll the car into the booth and hit it with some primer.
life moves so fast in a flash, you see. Everybody getting left behind.
After the primer's completely dry, Trung can block the car back and make sure it's straight, ready to get its first base coat.
Faster. Speed it up. Faster. Speed it up. Faster. Speed it up. Wasn't it just yesterday when we were young and carefree? Not a damn thing in this world could ever scare me. We never had it.
It's then masked up, and then after warming up the paint, the base coat can be sprayed on. The colour is an exact match to the original factory white, it just looks way newer because it hasn't sat in the sun fading for 30 years.
Essence of a free land, but we ain't free, man. Ain't nothing in this world free. Look around, division is all I see.
Although we've shown this transformation in less than 5 minutes, there is hundreds of hours of labour in a respray like this, not to mention the skills you need to get good at it in the first place. So if you find a good painter, make sure you shout them their fair share of kebabs for turning your old nugget into gold.
It looks amazing. Trung has
Really
done
does.
such a good job.
He did.
Finally, the car has had some of the love that it deserved. I decided to go the top deck, which means we are black up the top, white everywhere else. Because the car had a sunroof and that's black anyway, it just looked nice blacking that off. I seem to do that with a lot of my cars. Black mirror caps. Martin, what do you think?
It's so glassy. He's done an amazing job on this car. The amount of effort that he puts in is unreal. And this is not intended to be show car finish. It didn't take 6 months to a year or longer, which a lot of repaints do. He just smashed it out in a matter of weeks, which is absolutely awesome. And it is glass. It's just so good. He's done all the effort to do the prep, to put the base down, to clear it, to do all that stuff, and then also to buff it back. So it's just like, it looks amazing, really, in the flesh. I'm just so impressed with it. Yeah, black turret, which is really good. A few little details that we're going to sort of fix up, and it's actually got...
This is black too.
You can see some white residue, but that's actually the polish, so it's a bit deceiving. But yeah, needs things like wiper blades. The inside needs the panel stuck back on. The paint is still gassing off and still drying. That's why it's still in pieces. But we're going to unpack the big box that he sent us with all the other painted stuff in it so we can work out what needs to happen next.
So one of the things that I really wanted to do with this 180 and with my previous 180s was to give it a Type X conversion. So we've got the Type X wing, we've got the rear lights, which cost millions of dollars, and a Type X front bar as well. We've got the side skirts, those are in here. I've got some seats, I got some wheels, I got some tires, some interior bits, some kind of high touch things like the knob that's on the gear shifter and stuff like that, a new Nismo one of them, which is fancy. And then the piece de resistance, I have an old logo Nismo oil cap worth thousands of dollars that's going to go on. That's going to go on last, and that's when we know the project is done. So let's dive into this box, and you and I will see at the same time exactly what we've got. Oh, this is so exciting. There's the Type X wing!
Awesome, look at it.
Oh, look at it.
Mad.
Look at that. It's so good. I know that we're not assembling right now, but I just do want to
We need to see it.
sit this like that. It's going to look like that, Martin. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, that looks rad.
Oh, amazing. All right, let's keep unpacking this amazing package of awesomeness.
So when you paint a car, what you'll notice is a lot of the time, everything's sort of usually covered in a fine layer of dust because all paint shops, all panel shops end up dusty because so much sanding's going on. So even so, some of these panels might look a bit grubby. That's a good example, like over here. Because this is 2-pack paint that has been cured, that is like totally fine and good to go. Everything will just need a bit of a clean up when we put it on the car. Most important is we don't scratch it. So I say that while holding a knife right near it, but is that one side skirt there?
That is a side skirt.
Awesome.
That is a OEM Nissan plastic side skirt. So
Rad.
That's not an eBay fiberglass situation. That is that's a proper aftermarket Nissan jobby, which is amazing.
We will fit everything. We'll get all the right adhesives and stuff to fit it all properly because there's different glues and stuff that you need for different areas of the car depending what you're doing, whether it's a side skirt or a tail light or whatever. And then we'll start to fit this stuff up. And then once it's all fitted up, we give the car a proper detail, get all the dust and dirt and all the stuff on it, make sure everything's attached properly. And then the car will be looking freaking amazing.
This is my Type X front bar that I imported from the States.
Just don't want to lose track of this either.
Oh, look at it!
Look
Look at it! Oh, I am so pumped for this. Oh, it's coming out, people. Can you just lift the whole thing up? And then I'm just going to debag it. Oh, look at it. Hasn't been crashed into anything. It's just new. Not yet. Hey. Hey. All right. I've got it.
Oh, yeah, man. Nice.
Oh, look at that, everybody. Just so new, so white. I'm not actually going to put it on, but just have a look at this for a second. Just have a look at the kind of situation that's going to be happening over here, people. Just start to
Yeah, man.
Yes!
Oh, it's so
Listen
cool.
to how my voice is! It's so exciting!
So good.
Oh, God.
Freshly painted
It's
cars,
so good.
man.
It is so good. I'm sorry if I'm acting weird. It's just because I'm excited. Hashtag not
and then
sorry.
in there's just the original rear bar and then the bit for under the bonnet. It also,
nice.
on the bonnet has this cool like liner stuff as well. Keep noise down and whatever, and then you put the black thing back under there. We've also got the brackets for arrived. So in the time while the cars are painted, a few parts that got held up have arrived, including...
What was that, Martin?
Nothing. Nothing fell on the ground. Don't worry about it. Tron gave us touch-up paint because I always end up scratching cars. We've also got from 50 Ignite, which is our bracket to run our VW, Audi, Lamborghini Polo coils, and some adapters for that too, and also a triggering system and a photo, which looks like it's from ages ago. This is from Purity Box, man. Purity Box.
No, that one's actually going in the bin.
Okay, good. This is from the 2010 Perth Auto Salon, 25th of July 2010. From Kev. Hashtag does it fit my Honda. What a legend.
What,
That's
so
awesome.
we met him 12 years
With
ago?
me and him, yeah, 12 years ago.
Wow.
At Auto Salon, and now he runs this, which is pretty cool. So we've got our, can you please hold that? We've got our bracketry, which is awesome. And we've also got, I think this is a trigger kit. Yeah, so this trigger kit takes the old school crank angle or cam angle sensor out of the equation with that, which is pretty epic. So that's just a bolt-in, nice bolt-in thing. And that will work with the Haltech as well. And trigger everything without any issues.
It's time to get the car up in the air so we can start putting it all back together. This is the part of the project where I cross my fingers and hope that all the parts I bought in advance are correct, because it took so long to ship everything to Australia. I'm starting on the rear end kooky conversion, also known as a Type X conversion, which includes rear lights and the centre garnish. This drastically updates the look of the car and brings it in line with exactly what I'm going for.
So this here is the coveted centre garnish that makes the Type X conversion work with the shape of these new lights. One thing that I forgot to do though is get the Type X lock. You can see how much fatter this is, and now there's a big gap between here and this lock mechanism here. So to get one of these that suits a Type X from Japan is probably a 2-month wait. I have managed to find one on eBay that doesn't have a key, but it is the right length, so at least it's going to look right. So I'm going to keep assembling this for now. That should arrive in the next day or so, and then I can change that lock component out. And then maybe I can make the key work with it. Maybe I'll get another one later, but for now, it just means that we can keep assembling without it looking too bad, because with that big hole, it's not great.
It's time to get the Type X conversion done so we can move on with the build. All that's left to do is some minor wiring changes, but I am so stoked with how good this looks. Next up, the festy 30-year-old floor mats can go in the bin because they literally smell like bong smoke and sweat.
I'm attempting to straighten out the lower sill as 30 years of driving on and off hoists and being jacked up at drift meets has bent them out of shape. The factory side skirts bolt to the sills and are screwed in from both the top and at either end. Next, I'm going to grind off all the old crusty adhesive and use some nice fresh double-sided tape to make sure they stick flush with the rest of the body. These skirts were hard to find, they weren't cheap, and due to their age are a little bit brittle, so some drift stitching will be required to prevent them from falling apart any further.
So the side skirts are on. Now they are an OEM part, so they fit really nice. They are also second-hand, so I had to spend a bit of time grinding off old glue and putting new fasteners and stuff in, but overall I'm really happy with how they turned out. Now we've got to move on to the front.
The rear end looks amazing, by the way. That Type X conversion just always looks so good on 180s. It's amazing. Again, the fitment is not like perfect like you'd expect from a brand new car when people are kind of 3D scanning and CNC, you know, making parts for things, but it does fit, it does work. The front bar is now going to be the true test. There are a bunch of different brackets and little JDM things that say Nissan on them that are meant to attach somewhere, and we haven't worked that out yet.
Factory though, right?
Factory.
Yeah, Nissan parts. So
Nissan parts,
I'm assuming it'll be better, but there might be some things in the way. We've also got our front mount, of course, which, yeah, can now come off, which is cool.
Ready to reveal in all of its
We
glory.
tested it. It is also leaking something. We haven't worked out what. I think it's power steering fluid, but we've got to fix that. We're just going to sort of get all the panels back on so they're safe. And, yeah, should be a winner.
Look how good it looks though, people. Look at that.
That's rad.
It's almost like it calls for a little...
Really nice spread of intonation on that one, isn't it?
Beautiful. It's got quite a wide range compared to some.
Yeah, it's very brilliant sounding.
All right,
Cool.
Let's just do a quick little test fit of this front bar and see if it's going to work or whether our day's not going to be that good. You know how earlier on I was saying that I didn't have the correct cylinder lock for the back because the Type X bar actually sits a little bit further out? I ordered one online, and this box here that says cylinder lock on it, I'm pretty sure is going to be, yes, that's exactly what I need. All right, I'm going to take that back off and install this. So when I ordered this conversion kit to convert this one into a Type X, I did manage to get most of the right parts I need. So these brackets here, the front bumper support, but what I didn't get was the Type X pods that go here. So these are the ones that came on the car, and you can see these would normally sit like this and connect to the bumper. The Type X ones are different because you can see that it's kind of fat, it kind of comes out here. So getting those is there are a couple of options, but I want to keep that OEM. I have managed to find some, so I've managed to find a left and a right. They are going to need to be painted, but they are genuine and they're brand new Nissan items, so they are coming. The other thing that I forgot to get is the emblem for the front bumper. If you have a look over here, that is completely bald at the moment, but I've managed to get a Type X emblem, so that is coming as well. So that stuff is still going to be how long? I don't know. They're crazy times at the moment, but we do need to be able to move the car around. I found some wheels on the internet that do fit. I'm not sure what's going to stay on there long term, but we can get the car rolling around, and then once we've got a few other little things fixed, then we can move into the interior. But for now, we're waiting on parts and we're going to put some wheels on.
The Volkswagen, Audi, Lambo coils I've used fit the spark plug tubes just fine, but a bracket is a good idea to stop them moving around. It's a mad CNC item with locking collars and bolts into the factory rocker cover, which I now need to remove to do a cam angle sensor upgrade. The factory cam angle sensor connects via a cog system onto the exhaust camshaft to detect how fast it's spinning in relation to the crank. This allows Nissan to do full sequential fuel and spark with the ECU. That saves a little fuel and also feels nice and smooth and modern to drive. It's a common mod for reliability on Nissans to upgrade this to a non-contact sensor, and that is achieved by installing a tone wheel in place of the factory cog and installing a new sensor into the side of the head. One major part of this mod is that you're replacing a 30-year-old part exposed to decades of heat cycles in a hot part of the engine with a brand new part. This will only work with aftermarket ECUs, and the benefit is a more accurate trigger signal which can help with tuning. With our new trigger system in place, we can clean up the mating surface of the rocker cover and stick it back onto the engine, and then everything can be left to dry.
I just found another $1. This really is the car that keeps giving. Time to put the seats in the bin because they've been injected with rectal slime for almost 3 decades. With the seats out, this is the perfect opportunity to give the inside of the car and the carpet a good clean and see what other treasures may be hidden down below. I will need some of the seatbelt components from the factory seats, such as the seatbelt clips. Luckily, no tools are required. They were so loose I can remove them by hand. Safety first, kids. Now we can also get our ECU checked and fired up, and Dave from Haltech is here to make sure that everything is working exactly as it should.
Our electrical stuff is now done. We've got our air temp sensor plugged in. Dave's been tapping away at the keyboard, changing our triggering type. Now we find out if our new sensor that we put in is actually going to work, see if the car will start. Our trigger system appears to be working. The timing light looks good. Now it's time to hear this thing.
Yep,
Get keen.
that's right. All right, people, here we go.
Forgot your kill switch. Yeah. Excellent. So excellent.
I hope the check engine light is meant to be on.
I checked. There's an engine.
The car is running, it's sounding good, that is excellent. It works enough to be able to get it to the dyno. Next up, it's time to do some of the extra pieces, including the interior. So this here, we got a couple of seats. These are Recaro SR3s, which I believe came factory in some Civics, like EK Civics and DC2 Type R Integras or something. We got these for $40,000. And they look like that. They are in really good condition. And that there is the, I think that one there is the driver's side seat. And then over here in this box, we've got some rails. So seats are going in. I've just been giving the interior a little bit of a clean up under the seats. I was considering changing the carpet. It actually doesn't need changing. It's in really good condition. It's nice and black, which is what I'd want to change it to if it was that kind of festy 80s grey. But it's not. So seats go on, rails go on, then I got a steering wheel, gear knob, some other little interior bits. Then I've also had arrive the pods that we were missing last time. These, which go on the front bar like this. So these were the pieces we were missing last time, so they go on there. Trung has painted those as well. And then the other thing that I have is the razors for the Type X bar, for that to go on. So we are getting close. We are getting close. There's just lots of little bits and pieces. But we're just going to dive in, get the seats in, get the steering wheel done, and then we'll move on to the exterior stuff.
As well as all of the mechanical updates that we've done so far, the interior of the car is also getting a freshen up, starting with replacing the factory steering wheel with something brand new. We've got a whole video with step-by-step instructions on how to change your steering wheel, which you can check out on our channel. There are heaps of options, and it's made easier with this car because there's no airbags. To make the new wheel fit, an adapter kit is required, and then your aftermarket steering wheel will mount to this. With the new steering wheel installed, now I can move on to the seats. Using seats in a car that were not designed for it usually requires the use of adapter rails. These convert the factory seat mounting positions on the car to the mounts on the seats. Well, they're meant to, but they don't always fit, and you may need a pry bar, hammer, drill, or even a welder, depending on what your setup requires, to make these fit. Bolt-on doesn't always mean bolt-on. There are loads of cheap and fake seats available, but for a build like this, it was really important for me to have genuine seats that are quality. Recaros like this are expensive, even secondhand, but they are totally worth it because they're some of the best seats available, and I'm stoked to have such awesome quality in my 180. The seats are in and they look freaking amazing. And the car is starting to look just like the poster, which was drawn before the car was even built. These posters are only available while this build series is on. If you don't have one yet, grab it now and we'll autograph it and send it to your door anywhere in the world. Next up, it's time to install the Type X bumper pods, which I managed to get as genuine items that were already here locally in Australia. I'm also changing out this slime-covered Nismo knob for a brand new one that is exactly the same design because I really like it. The seats, steering wheel and gear knob are done, and the test sit is a massive success. Now it's time to install the piece de resistance, the Type X wing.
Dude, this is the cherry on the cake.
It is the sweet
The
cherry
cherry
pie.
on the top. I'll put it over the holes. You put it over your holes.
Yep. Hold on.
No, I'll put it...
Just let go for a sec. Yep. No, let go. Is yours lined up?
No, that's lined up on my side. Line yours up on the holes.
Well, I'll just let go of it.
Yeah, but now...
That's right. That looks good on this side. We are back in Super Garage now because the length of the exhaust is not correct with our Vertex bar. You can see just from the short amount of time we've been starting it, that there is turning all black, but not in a good way. Speaking of good things, you asked for it, we finally have it. Chopped hoodies. It's got chopped fingers on the front, it's got chopped fingers on the back. They are available right now, so you can pick them up on the shop. What are we doing? We're chopping off the exhaust, we're modifying it, we're gonna weld some new bits on. This twin pipe, I do kind of like the OEM plusness of that.
too.
It just doesn't fit. Now, look, we could try and cut it and trim it and something else. I don't know if that would work, but we bought a couple of components. I got a Canon, it's what I used to have. So I want to put that on there because I think it's going to be cool, and then maybe I can swap back to something like that later.
This is not a specific 180SX exhaust. This has been built, which is good and bad. Sides are some mild steel bits in there that are kind of a little bit rusty, but it doesn't matter, it'll last just nicely and fine. This is just an aftermarket muffler that someone's made fit. It fit the old car really well. This one is specifically for a 180, but we're probably going to have to move the mounts.
Yeah, so these are going to have to move back. It's got some silencer in there that's going to go
in the bin.
And so then
we also do have this muffler though, so that's a good thing. So we're going to try and keep that muffler so that, because if you just go turbo on this, it'll be so loud you wake the dead. If we keep another muffler in there, it should actually be pretty good. And it's got a cat as well.
That's where that is set to mount. We actually need it more like that.
Because the black up the bumper doesn't look cool, does it?
It's not cool. So this here is about to get chopped, eh? Chopped, eh? Check it out on the Mighty Car Mod shop, link below. Reciprosaw that, chop that off, zod it on, cut these off. We're going to cut and weld some stuff, and then the exhaust is going to be
It's also got like
done.
the world's worst power steering leak, so we're getting a hose made to fix that.
Yeah, that's
just
right.
dropping
There's a
its guts
trade out
everywhere.
there. It's just dropping stuff everywhere. But, you know, at least we know that now because it's running. All right, let's chop.
We're going to be adapting our new exhaust parts to fit our existing system, which in my experience is actually way harder than making a whole new one from scratch. Obviously, a bolt-on system is the ultimate in ease of install, assuming it actually does bolt on. Welding old metal to new metal and getting all the angles right takes a bit of trial and error, but I reckon I can make this work with the help of the hoist and some stands. We'll send the old muffler to the big metal shredder where it can be turned into a can of beans, and then we'll cut the mounts off the new cannon. This will allow us to place the muffler exactly where it needs to be in the bumper cutout and then work back towards the existing exhaust system. A whole lot of eyeballing ensures that the muffler looks good in its final position. We're roughing in the angle of the cannon and the position left to right, then tack welding the hangers back onto the muffler. Next, I'm going to cut up a bunch of 3-inch bends to join the cannon to the rest of the exhaust. Some careful measuring and tacking is the key to getting this right. But sometimes you do get it wrong, and a quick hit with an angle grinder can break the tacks and you can try again. Once it all looks right, I'm going to run a few welds on each joint so it doesn't move when I take it off and weld the whole thing together. I'll be using a MIG because it's fast and the whole thing is going to be painted.
The exhaust is done, and it is a fruit salad of a pipe. If you have a look down here, there is basically every food group here of all colours, sizes, distinctions, and smells, starting from the butthole of the turbo.
Exactly right. And then we do our catalytic converter, which is cool. Got our dump pipe and our flex joint. Why didn't we just get a new one? Well, yeah, you can't. And if you can, they're made like quite cheap, really thin material. The mufflers don't muffle. Actually, I think they just end up making the car sound like shit. And I thought this car sounded pretty good with the muffler that was on it.
I mean, if you're going to go a full system, you just get JDM legit is what I wanted to do. Just like you get the whole thing. That was not possible in the time frame that we had. This here is functional. It's a 3-inch turbo back system, and it appears to be custom made for this car. There are so many pieces.
I'm kind of good with that. Having custom made some exhausts and knowing how difficult it is, but knowing that they just fit really well. Like this it fits great. And yes, okay, there's a bit of surface rust on it, but there's no holes in it. It's not leaking anything.
This is how many components there are, Martin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
17 parts.
A 17-piece exhaust.
You could argue that the amount of welding required to stitch this together probably would have cost more in gas than a whole exhaust. But happy with it. It's going to work. It's going to sound good. It's going to muffle enough so it's not going to offend everyone, and it's going to be good.
All right, so we've just got a little repair to do at the front for the power steering. And then, Martin, we're off to the dyno to make our 180 kilowatts.
Once the car's working, we also have to get it made legal for street use because it's been unregistered for so long. This involves an authorised inspection to make sure that it's safe, it meets design and safety standards, and a check for tyres, body condition, working lights, indicators, horn and dash, engine leaks, seat belts, and a brake efficiency test. Only then can we get number plates, insurance, and registration. Because I've updated the rear lights, they no longer work with the factory loom plugs, so I need to resolder old style plugs onto the new lights. This is fairly simple because even though the updated lights are a new design, most of the wire colours have stayed the same, so it's just a matter of mixing and matching. And with that done, the lights and indicators are now all working.
It's time for the awesome/dirty Nissan 180 to go on the dyno and see if all those mods that we've done, particularly to the engine, the fuel system, the ignition system, have been worth it, especially with our mad new S15 Turbo cramming some boost into it.
It is a very, very exciting day. Now, we originally wanted to go to the dyno last, but this one we had it booked in. There's a bunch of stuff that hasn't been done. It doesn't have the badge on it yet. It doesn't have my old Nismo old logo cap on the oil yet, because that's when we know that it's all done. We've still got to fix up the wing stuff. You probably saw last episode that didn't fit properly. That is something we're going to have to do later. But today, it's about getting it on the dyno and seeing what kind of power we make. Now, Martin, at wastegate pressure, it's possible that we actually make more than the 180, and that means this project has been a complete and utter failure.
No, well, not a failure at all. It is completely possible that happens, but also I would say this car hasn't been driven for ages. It's sat around for a long time, and when we did drive it, when we first got it on the track, it was very, very unhappy. So, being that it's not registered yet, we haven't been able to put any Ks on it. This is the first time we're really going to be driving it in any anger on the dyno. So I'm crossing my fingers nothing explodes out of it. Rods, oils, fluids, coolant, anything that's supposed to be inside the car.
Driven in love, Martin, not in anger.
So that's what the dyno's for. We're going to test it as long as everything works. We're tuning this thing and then it will be ready to rego and drive.
But we did set up from the very beginning that we wanted 180 kilowatts at the wheels.
You did say that.
If we don't get 180 kilowatts at the wheels, the mission has not been accomplished.
That means you failed, but if it makes 240 kilowatts at the wheels, I'll be cheering and I will have won.
Well, it's not a competition.
No, but like, as in I will be winning in every way.
Incarnate.
Yes.
All right, Scotty, of course, is going to be helping us, the tuning fork. He's been helping us for years. He knows about his cars. We, of course, will be taking a guess of what kind of power it can make, and the winner will be getting a prize. In fact, right now is your opportunity, before we go any further, to guess below what the number is. Don't fast forward, just look right now below, put your guess in of how much power you think it's going to make, and let's see. Actually, you'll get a prize too. You know what? We're going to give you a prize too. Let's load it on the dyno, let's spin it up, let's see how we go.
While we are aiming for the specific figure of 180 kilowatts, it doesn't mean that the car will actually make it. In fact, it could make more or less. That is just the physics of the system and the name of the game. And that's assuming the car works at all. Other than driving on and off a tow truck, it's still completely untested. And a full send on the dyno could be the exact thing that makes this car go kablamo.
I'm down here with Tuning Fork, also known as Scotty Hilsinger. Thank you very much.
Hello, mate.
Before we start, I know people come down here all the time and they go, they've got a magic number. I want 500 kilowatts. I want 1,000 kilowatts. So I am coming to you with that today.
All right, it always makes me nervous.
Okay, I want, and I don't want any more or any less, 180 kilowatts at the wheels because it's a 180SX. Can we do it?
All right, you know what's amazing? This is probably the first request ever. I think with this we can make the lower number of 180.
Can we?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
What I'm nervous about is if we can't get enough boost out of it and we make more than that. So this is an unusual request.
We can't make more, so it just needs to be one.
All right.
The world is full of YouTube builds of everyone making a million kilowatts. These, what are these stock? 100? 105?
Yeah, they're not much.
Approximately?
OSR, yeah,
so
7
I
pounds.
think 180 makes a really fun car. Would you not agree? Can you help me pull down the veil of the too much power on the internet scheme?
What? If this makes 180 kilowatts, the thing is going to run forever. You can take it to any track day, you can hold it flat, and then you can use your driving skill and your car setup to actually enjoy that, rather than just make 400 kilowatts and then first corner you're done.
Scotty Hilsinger, everybody. Scotty Hilsinger. We also have over here, Martin, of course, is still here. And David's here as well. He's recovered from his jellyfish sex incident, and he's back. So we're here on the dyno, 180 kilowatts. We've gone through all the mods. The car's here. It's freshly painted. Please don't lean on it. I mean, where you were holding it was fine. Yep, that's okay. Now, it's not finished yet, so don't be checking too closely the panel gaps, and there's no badge over there, and there's no wing and a few holes. Don't worry about any of that. We're getting to that. But we're here for you because, let's be honest, we're here for me. Come on, we're here for me and my car. But I'm very happy to be working with you again today.
Always a pleasure. Well, what we'll do, before we get too carried away, let's just do a bit of a health check. So we'll warm the thing up and then check oils, just check everything and make sure that we're not missing anything. Then we'll do some revving stuff and make sure that all the belts are going to stay together and we don't have any funny noises.
Yep.
Then we'll get into the tuning part of it. No point in doing the tuning part until we make sure the thing's going to hold together.
Great. All right, let's do it. Thanks for having us down.
Pleasure.
With a car like this that is untested, we're starting our session by running it up at low RPM to give everything a check. And sure enough, we already have a problem. We're not getting boost control.
Well, a couple of little gremlins, but nothing crazy. So the first one was just some boost control plumbing, which that happens all the time. Even I forget which input, which one's the in and which one's the out on the solenoid, so I always just look it up. The other thing that we've got there is there's two 2-pin plugs in the 180SX. One of them's an evap solenoid and the other one is the boost control solenoid. So we've just got those two back to front.
I like how you very politely said, we have these gremlins. It was me that installed this.
I think it's
So
polite
it's not
to
actually
say
we at all. It's just like,
we shares the
you
blame and
just
it's
tell me
polite.
that I got it wrong.
In other news, we is tuning up really nice. The injector setup is all really good. So
Okay, good.
The fuel pressure seems to be set. Well, it's at 43.5 pounds, which is about pretty much normal, what you'd be expecting. But the injector size and everything is all working really well.
Okay, good.
And I can sort of tell that because the way that we tune the engine is how efficient it is. So basically, every time the camshaft spins around, it's a 2-litre engine, 2 litres of air should go in and 2 litres of air should come out. Except for when it's boosted, but we kind of, let's just talk about it as if it's an aspirated thing. So the efficiency of the engine at 100% efficiency, 2 litres in, 2 litres out, knowing how much air is there, I can then set my air to fuel ratio. I just need to then map out how efficient the engine is, which being a 4-stroke engine, it's roughly 50% efficient at idle and roughly 100% efficient flat out, which is normally 90, 95, something like that.
Okay.
When all my numbers in my fuel map all kind of line up, it tells me that I'm not manipulating anything or trying to make up for inefficiencies in fuel system or injector size or anything like that. And at the moment, everything's looking really, really good. The O2 trims are all working well, so not much to report. As soon as we can get this thing ticking and get some more boost in it, things are good.
A quick general question. If we're running a turbocharger with 1 bar of boost, so 1 atmospheric pressure, 14.7, are we now putting in 4 litres of air and 4 litres out? Like, is it double because we're literally adding? We have the normal aspiration, and then we have the same amount again.
We're expecting to double the oxygen content that's in there. And if we're putting 15 pounds of boost into it, we would also expect to put 100% more fuel into it, would be the rule of thumb. There are inefficiencies, so you don't always exactly double the power.
Is that to do with heat as well?
It's heat, it's inefficiencies in flow, it's the exhaust restriction, and it's the exhaust turbine restriction as well. So the back pressure from atmosphere on the exhaust system makes a difference, and the more stuff you're pushing out, the harder it is. So there is a diminishing return there. You can't put 2 bar or 30 pounds of boost in it and get 3 times the aspirated power.
I could hear you talk all day, Scotty. Are you the same? Do you feel like you could just listen to this all day? I could. I love it. And I get to do it in person. I feel very lucky. I feel very lucky, Scotty.
I do enjoy it. I still really, really like it. It's nice. It's good to be able to do all this stuff.
You've been doing it for a long time. I thought we'd been doing it for a long time. We've been doing the show for 15 years. You've been doing this for 20, right?
Nearly 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Long time, eh? And
You've seen some things.
Every single day, I think I still learn something, which is probably the attraction to it, you know? It's really nice.
Luckily, this is a fairly simple fix. Swap 2 of the lines around and then repin the plug, and we're ready to try again.
Dave's just rewired it. New Deutsch connector with his fancy. Look how fancy this is. Look at that. So special. Anyway, now we are testing it, and Scotty can activate it from inside the car, and now we're hearing relays going click, click, so we know it's working, which is awesome.
Now that we've got some boost control, we're going to spin it up again on the dyno with a target of 12 pounds of boost initially and see what kind of power figures we can achieve.
On, full throttle, go. Touch the rev limiter at the very top then. Alright, so 149 kilowatts on 12 pounds.
Time to page up.
So we'll put 2 degrees of timing in it. We're so far away from anything that's a drama, but what we'll see here is if we're even close, if we get a significant gain. As soon as we don't get a significant gain, we'll pull out of it straight away.
Okay, cool. A little.
Enough.
So we're going to move it up to 14.7, 1 bar, and that should get us closer, if not achieving our 180 kilowatts at the wheels. Let's do it, Scotty. Beam us up. Page us up, Scotty.
Target pressure is now 15 pounds.
15.
I'll start our data logging. Come up on it. Full throttle.
Let's do it. 180, 180, 180. That's going to be close.
It'll go under, it'll go under. So it picked up a lot of mid-range because the boost is coming on earlier now.
Yes.
Top end,
Not a lot of peak though.
Yeah, not a lot of peak. So what do we do now?
Up we go.
17.
18.
18.
18.
3 at a time.
Yep,
Jeez,
here we
you got
go.
confidence.
Yeah, I've got confidence in you. Not in myself, in you.
Oh no.
All right,
Oh,
here
no.
we go. 18 PSI for 180 kilowatts in the 180SX. Let's do it, Scotty. I feel good about this one, people. Feeling good. Look at that curve. Look at the curve. Let's check the numbers. Yeah!
Is that it? Are we done?
No, we need to see 1.8. So do we go 18.5 now? Or do we just go to 19? Or do we just go to 20?
Let's tidy up the ignition timing.
That'll do it, won't it?
Let's have a look. Let's put in. We'll put 2 degrees in up here and just see what happens, see what it wants.
Okay.
All right, here we go. On, full throttle, go. Was it too much? Was it too much? Never too much, is it?
I think it's going to be like 183. Yay! Good
You know
job.
what?
Excellent.
It's on.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Scotty. Good job.
Admittedly, a relatively straightforward job, but the one thing I just want to point out with it that
That's a beautiful power curve,
with keeping the tiny turbocharger on it, have a look at this thing. It is making over 150 kilowatts for the meat of the rev range.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is the thing that if we go and put a GT35 on this or a GT30
It's
or
going to
whatever,
do this, right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
the difference will be that down low, you don't have
Not gonna have
over
that
150
drivability.
kilowatts
Yeah, yeah.
for that amount of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it that it's mad to have 3 and 4 and 500 kilowatts, and I definitely appreciate that, but I also appreciate targeting something like this.
Is this the lowest powered performance modified car you've had on here other
For
than a Honda?
very, very, very long time. Yeah, aspirated Honda is 140, 150 kilowatts.
Not our Honda.
So,
Not our one.
So I get it if you might get slightly frustrated that it's only making 180.
No, because we're back in 1994 now.
Yeah.
95, 96, people didn't want to blow their warranty straight away. Like, this is 1996, 1997 era power.
Imagine owning a 180SX with warranty, like then.
Yes.
The shape of this car back then would have been like pretty radical.
Yeah.
This is lining up with what I remember because
Yep.
22 pounds T28
Yep.
at 10 kilowatts per pound, 220
220
kilowatts.
Yeah, okay.
On a stock S15 turbo, 220 on low 20 pounds of boost was the number.
Yeah.
Because they are not, even though they're famous engines, they are not these massive powerhouses, are they?
The combo on it is perfect. The thing hasn't missed a beat, so
Look how nice it idles.
Yeah.
it's idling
It
at
makes mad choo-choo noises.
900
I'm sold, man.
RPM. It's got good vacuum.
Turn it off, Scotty. Just turn it
You're
off.
scared.
No, just we're
we-
done. Turn it
are we-
off.
are we-
That's it. Yeah, we're done. We're
so
finished.
I thought you were worried it was running out of life, just idling.
I'm so happy with that curve. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
You are the boss,
mate.
Tuning Fork.
Yep.
You're
Oh.
the big boss.
Oh, thanks, guys. I always enjoy a day on the dyno. You know that.
It was a lot of fun.
Us too.
Martin, I'm stoked.
Yeah, you should be. That's mad. That's going to be so good to drive. You can tell from that curve. That's straight away. Put your foot down, it's going to boost up, it's going to make mad sounds, you're going to be gone.
Yeah.
Sideways, hopefully.
We've hit the power figure and nothing's exploded, and I am absolutely stoked. Now we've just got to finish a bunch of little jobs in preparation for our street registration.
183 kilowatts at the wheels. I am stoked. Perfect power for this car. It's looking amazing. We've just come back from the dyno and Marty and I have done a bunch of little like fiddly things.
Fix-ups. The most probably important thing is I changed the coolant overflow bottle. These do have a reputation for cracking, and ours was starting to have hairline cracks all through it. If that lets go, you get coolant everywhere. It's not a fun time. You can buy aftermarket ones, which is awesome, like remade ones. So I just replaced that, which was super easy. And my next job was also to tuck away all the ECU stuff. So rather than having it hanging around in the footwell and you end up stepping on it or getting crap on it, we've just tucked it all in and put the factory panel back in place.
Now at the back of the car, I had to do the number plate adapter. It's got one of those weird like JDM flappy ones, and also run the wiring and the lights for the running lights that light up the number plate at night. Put all the interior back together, so the kick panels and stuff. If you have a look inside now, it is just absolutely bellissimo. I would actually say there's probably not many 180s in the country that are this clean. So there's a couple of tiny little things that still have to happen. The whole car needs a little bit of a kind of a clean and detail inside, a couple of little things fixed up. It's not registered yet. As we spoke about, it still needs the blue slip, so it has to go through all of the safety stuff, check all the lights and everything. That we expect to be happening in the next 1 to 2 days. The wing, we have to repair the back and repaint all of that stuff. That is going to happen. And then it's ready to actually reveal it in its finished form and go for a drive.
And drive it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it drives really nice. The power steering also kind of fixed itself. The big drama we had literally the day that we were going to the dyno was the high pressure feed for the power steering just gave up, just leaking. We fixed it, we put new fittings, and then there was like a pinhole leak in the actual rubber that was spraying stuff everywhere. So just having a bad time. So we ended up just replacing it with a -6 AN line and some bump tubes that go onto the power steering thing. But I did it late at night and I wasn't watching, and then I had a tiny kink in it, so I had no power steering, and I thought, oh well, work that out, repositioned it, put it back together, quickly slapped it on the truck to take it to the dyno, and once I was on the dyno, it fixed itself because it just bled out all the air, and now it has power steering and it works fine, so that's good.
The last 20% always.
Yeah.
But I think right now, being that it's mostly finished, it's time for this item, Martin.
Badge engineering.
It's time for this to go on. This is a Type X emblem. It's called Emblem Rad because it is, and that is going to be going right here. I imagine it probably has some like sticky stuff on it.
If it doesn't, we can find some.
If it doesn't, we will put some on there. No, we're good. So here we go. Oh, it's got we got to drill some holes.
Oh, do we?
Yeah,
Cool.
We've got to drill either that or these have got to be snapped off. But I'm pretty sure
Take them off.
we're going to just go.
Oh, it do look so good.
This is pretty exciting, isn't it, Martin? Really? I mean, you just got to love what's been going on over here, mate. All right, there's that one. Now, before I get too excited and do the badge, we also have to make sure that the car is covered. Now, all of our cars are insured with Shannon's. They're a sponsor of the show, and the 180, even though it's not been registered, has been with Shannon's as laid up cover, which means it's been covered while we've been working on it.
So it might be off the road, you might be restoring it, whatever. Laid up cover means you still have some coverage. Laid up cover stops when your car moves under its own power. So in our situation, the car's been dynoed, it's roadworthy now and ready to be taken for an inspection. In our state, you can drive it there to get it inspected. So at that point, you want to call up and change it back to full comprehensive.
Yeah, and so as well as having all of the different insurance for cars, Shannon's also do CTP, they do home, they do roadside and stuff like that. But what's important for us is that we get a choice of repairer and also agreed value. So some insurers you might call and they go, oh, we think it's worth this, whereas with Shannon's there's an actual value, and we know that these cars have been going up in value. You can't get them for $5,000 anymore. When we were looking, you couldn't even get them for $20,000. So it's a matter of having a chat with them and working out exactly, agreeing what we think the car's worth, and then that will be locked in. That is the car's value. And so we need to get that ready. We need a CTP, which is a compulsory third-party insurance that we have here in New South Wales. Get the comprehensive done. So I'm going to call and get that done. So look, we'll get the badge on, then we'll sort all of that out. But if you need a quote for your car or house or bike, you can check that out at shannons.com.au.
And then we can go get our number plates and drive it on the street, which is what this is all for.
So mad. Martin, we need to do this together, mate.
All right.
I'm going to peel the first bit off. You peel the next bit off. All right, Martin. Are you ready? You get your finger on there as well, Martin.
Say when.
When? Our 180SX's registration has been rejected. And the last couple of months, or last couple of years of doing this project has all been a big waste of time. I mean, we got to hang out.
Yeah, we had to fix the car, but if you can't drive it, what's the point? It's not a race car.
Other than the annoyance of not being able to drive the car, there is also the financial consideration that an unregisterable 180SX, regardless of its condition, is probably worth between $8,000 and $12,000.
Yeah.
A registered one, like what we've done, is probably worth 25 or 30, at least. More,
Registered
actually.
and roadworthy, yep, 100%.
So here was the problem. We went down to Service New South Wales, and they said no.
They said no. They just said no.
They said no.
So we've registered a few cars from scratch before. I mean, a notable one would be the Mira, for example, which is something that, got completely redone. The Super Turbo, imported that, had to register that. So you've got to do the same thing. You get all your approvals, get all your paperwork, get your compulsory third-party insurance, which is a thing in New South Wales. in case you hit someone. That doesn't cover the car, that covers the person. It's a way of making sure that there's like medical care for everyone and paying for all that.
Can I go through this, Martin?
Of
And
course.
then we're going to
So
talk
my point
about
was,
what happened.
we've done it a few times. We know what paperwork we need, but we just got rejected.
I'm going to read, this is from the actual website, okay? This is what I think we should be going off. If your vehicle's New South Wales registration has expired, but it's within 3 months of the expiry date, you're still able to renew the registration.
Which is not us.
Yay!
That's not us.
But yay for those people.
Yay for those people.
The vehicle will still be registered, blah, blah, blah. If the registration expired more than 3 months ago, blah, 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 blah,
Us.
you'll need to re-register it.
So start from scratch. Establish registration. that
What
means.
do you need? An application for registration. We did it. Your proof of identity. We did it.
Tick.
Your business or organisation details, if applicable.
Tick.
Your compulsory third-party insurance.
Tick. Got it with Shannon's.
An authorised unregistered vehicle inspection report. Blue slip.
Got it. Passed.
Payment and number plates. You will receive number plates when the vehicle's registered.
Yes.
We did all of that. We took all of that and they said no.
They said no.
Now, the reason that they said no, and this is the bit that I can't work out, is that they want... I'm still trying to get my head around this because it's so stupid. They want a receipt from the person who owned it before the person we bought it from to us.
They want a receipt from the last registered owner.
I need to do this I need to do it on
They want a receipt from the last registered owner, which is not who we bought the car from. So as you know, cars bounce around. You know, people sometimes choose to let their registration lapse because if you're paying it every year, usually you're paying over $1,000 a year to keep something registered. So if you've got something off the road, maybe you choose to let it lapse knowing that you'll have to go through this process later on. It's a more thorough inspection. They've got to check that the engine numbers and the chassis numbers and everything match up. But the car, because it has been registered in New South Wales before, is on record. That VIN is on their records. When they look it up on their end, they see a person who used to own it or who the last person that had the rego, and they want a receipt from that person. Except we don't know who that person even is.
Martin, I've got a little scientific diagram just here that I'm going through it.
I love your diagrams,
They should
man.
be
I
sad.
like your drawing skills.
Now, this guy here, he owned a 180SX. There he is. Now, he sold it for money to this guy.
Actually, I have a story about that.
Unregistered. The reason his face is upside down is because I drew it upside down. I
thought he was just really sad.
Anyway, he sold it to him, unregistered. So here's a number plate. No, unregistered, which you're allowed to do. He sold it to us for money, unregistered, as an unregistered car. My understanding is that the RMS wants a receipt.
Not from him.
Not from the person we bought it from, but the last registered owner. They want a receipt from him saying that we bought the car from him. But if my understanding is correct, that would be fraud. We didn't buy a car from him.
We didn't buy a car. And this
So
is where
I can't get a receipt from him saying that we gave him money because we never gave him money. Now, why is this a problem? That means if you bought a car like a barn find, right? You bought it and you go, oh, I'm going to do it up, I'm going to whatever, and it's been sitting there for 30 or 40 years. And then you go, the project's too big for me, and you sell it for your mate. Your mate, according to this, if this is correct, would need a receipt from whoever put it in the barn 40 years ago.
Yes.
Who might not even be around anymore.
That's right. So I just rang this guy, who's the guy we got the car from. That's us, that's him. Don't know who that is. And said, hey man, they've asked us for a receipt from him. And he said, that's weird, as you'd expect. But he also said, I traded the car for Hot Wheels.
What?
And I went, Hot Wheels?
What does that mean?
Like the toys. And he goes, yeah.
What?
So he goes, I don't know how to give you a receipt because I swapped it for Hot Wheels.
Oh, so
So
wait on. This is wrong. I said he traded this for money, but he traded this
for Hot Wheels.
for a Hot Wheels car.
Yeah.
So then now what we need to do is we need to go to the RMS and go, this guy has a receipt for a Hot Wheels car, for a real car.
Yes.
Which we then swapped. See, it goes round and round. We then swapped
For money.
Yes.
Yes.
For here.
Yes.
Now,
So
the person behind the counter has then told us, which I've never heard before, that I need to go to and see a justice of the peace.
right.
A justice of the peace is someone who is designated by the governor to keep the peace. And it's a volunteer position of somebody whose job in life is to witness affidavits and verify documents.
Verify that you've signed it, not verify the document, right? It doesn't matter what's in it. He just go, did you actually sign it? Show me ID, and then they check it, right?
Well, the reason that doesn't make sense to me is that they want to know that we own the car, but I have a receipt from. But not only do I have that, it's the requirement on there. I need proof of ownership. That's the receipt that I have of the car. So anyway, I'm going to go and find a justice of the peace, and I have to write a document that says I own the car.
Okay.
And then the Justice of the Peace, through their order of the Governor of New South Wales, will witness that. And then we need to try and get a receipt from him saying that he swapped his thing for a car, for a Matchbox car.
Show the paper
a Hot Wheels
trail.
car. And then I need to get my Justice of the Peace affidavit and the Hot Wheels receipt and take that back. That's where we're at. I got to go find a Justice of the Peace.
I was good with it until the Hot Wheels thing. Then I just got so confused.
Come on.
I never understand the whole. Hey, maybe it's worth money.
So it is a whole new day. A new day of possibilities.
Look at it.
We're on our way back to Service New South Wales with all of the paperwork that their website said we needed, plus the additional paperwork that is not mentioned anywhere, but a person at the counter told us that we needed.
Please tell me you brought your diagram, so if we need to explain how this whole thing works, you can show you good.
Martin, just a quick idiot check.
Yep.
What we need, our PDF form, application, yes. Proof of identity,
Yes.
our organisation or business details if applicable.
Yes.
Yes, we need our CTP green slip.
Yes.
Is that one?
The trick with that, which we've been caught on before, is if you're setting up new registration, get a receipt number on your CTP. Even though you've paid it, ring your insurer and say, make sure it's got a receipt number. Shannon's will do it for you. And it has the VIN of the car and the receipt number, then they can make sure it's actually been paid. Otherwise, their theory is you might just be waving around a random document that doesn't actually exist.
Yes, exactly. We got the receipt from the original owner, an authorised unregistered vehicle inspection report, which is what we call a blue slip. Your payment, they'll get the payment once they do it.
Yep.
The number plates will be given to us once the vehicle is re-registered, plus statutory declaration that says, I hereby solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I own this 180SX. And then I've taken that to a Justice of the Peace who has gone through and witnessed that I have claimed, because I do, own this car.
Ownership.
So, on our way to Service New South Wales. Martin, at this point, I just don't know anymore. I've registered so many cars over the years, over 20 years of driving.
Same.
So many second-hand cars, imported cars, unregistered cars. I've never, ever, ever been told that I need to go and get permission from the Governor of New South Wales agent as a Justice of the Peace. Never.
No, neither.
Anyway, we're heading on down now, and
Nearly there.
we will let you know how we go.
Right.
Well, everybody, that did not go as expected at all.
Not at all.
Mostly because we got our rego.
Ding.
We are legal people. We are ready to go on the streets of Sydney. Why didn't it go as expected? I'll tell you why. Because we went up to the counter with all of these random things that the person the other day told us we needed, and they're like, you don't need any of that.
None of it.
You just need the stuff off the website
That you brought last time.
that we brought. We brought exactly the same paperwork as last time, but then we'd also got this Justice of the Peace thing. They didn't even want to see it. There's like, just give us the receipt.
Just give us. That shows you bought the car.
the same stuff.
The CTP with the receipt number. The
Yeah.
established registration form.
Granted, it was a different person.
Yeah.
We went to a different counter, and the last person said no. This person said yes. We had all the extra stuff anyway.
Yep.
So I don't know how that works, but when we left for Service New South Wales and it says, how did we do?
That person got a 5 out of 5.
Yep.
Thank you. Which was it was a green smiley face. How was your feedback? How was your session today? Well, my 180SX is going to be registered 5 out of 5, Service New South Wales.
And
For today.
compared to 20 years ago, they're doing a lot better than they used to. Let's just say that.
That's true. It's still not the most pleasant experience, but
Shall we?
we can go and put these on the car and go for a drive.
Finally.
We can go for a drive.
Finally on the road.
So good. Let's hit it, people. Let's go.
We got our number plates, people, and they can finally go on. As usual, it took longer and was more work than any of us, by the two of us, that is expected.
But the outcome, I think, is also so much better than it could have predicted in terms of how clean it looks, how nice it looks, cleaning up all those little things, that sort of niggly things that the project cars of this age always end up biting you in the butt with. All that's fixed. Everything works, it drives nice, it's dynoed for good numbers, nothing leaks out of it yet, and otherwise it is pretty awesome.
It's still untested other than its time on the dyno, so who knows how it'll actually go. But it is hard to believe that it's the same car, that it was a couple of years ago that we bought this, took it around the track, realised it was just blowing more smoke than Cheech and Chong, and then we're like, man, this car actually needs a bit of love. But love is what it got, and look at it now. Like, it just, this era of cars, I'm sure you'll agree with me, I just think it really resonates with me. I just think it looks great. It looks like it has utility, do you know what I mean? A lot of cars these days, like Honda Civics and other newer cars, just look like robot vomit, you know?
For the sake of robot. Let's just
For the
add some
sake of
plastic.
robot.
It
But
needs to
this-
look wild, just add some more plastic. Yeah, whereas this is all, you got really good visibility out of a car like this as well. One of the best things about these, there's so much glass in that turret. You can see really well, the seating position's nice, the dash doesn't get in the way. It's really light and nice to steer. The only thing really left, I guess, is a real proper like race spec wheel alignment, just so everything is done. But that's all been dialed in. It drives nice.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So, yeah, Martin, it is time to put the plate on and time to go for a drive. I really can't believe how far it's come. Do you remember what this car used to look like?
I know it's been a long, long time. I was by your side once for a while. I was trying to find another life, the kind of life that I could survive in time. When you go, I'm finally here, but I can't breathe without you. And I know that you could make it on your own, but I don't wanna be without you now. Drowning in the fire, burning in our blood, praying for the silence to lift me up. Remember we'd sneak out at night, hands held tight, and we just trying to hide. Well, I never thought we'd get this far, underneath a million stars tonight, in my broke down car. When you go, I'm finally here, but I can't breathe without you. And I know you could make it on your own, but I don't wanna be without
I reckon it's going to be like 183. Yay!
So here it is, finally. It's a long time to get to this point. Now, we could have just like done a real quick fix, slapped a plate on it and gone, yay, the car works again, but it undoubtedly would have blown up in a cloud of turbo smoke. But I think the result is way better with everything being done with the paint and all that sort of stuff as well.
It is hard to get custom plates. In case you couldn't work it out, it's 180. See, 180. Anyway, this is
Or 180.
the same.
turbo.
This 180, as you can see, we ordered this in advance, and it's the same plate that is on our artwork. Martin, here it is.
What's going on?
Take that bolt, Martin, and put it in there, Martin.
It's time.
It's should be the outside hole.
Oh, they fit nice, don't they? See, back when you had your 180, you didn't get a choice of like plate sizes, did you?
No.
You had to like bend them. I remember everyone used to bend their
and
plates
some people cut them and then they got in trouble, and that was the only way to make them fit.
Yeah.
Is your one working over there, mate?
Sort of. If you tighten it all the way down, it probably won't go in.
All right, it's still a little bit loose.
You work it out with your socket.
All right, we're just gonna do this, Martin. Look at that.
Awesome.
In it goes.
Good feeling,
Thanks for all
mate.
your help, man. By the way.
No worries. Happy to.
Getting it all together. It's funny, you know, you don't often get the chance to kind of relive one of your kind of young dreams of like, how do I do it again? And cars are a really cool way of doing that, you know, because
They are time machines, aren't they?
yeah, it is. And you get in it and you're just like, oh, I remember what it felt like to be back then.
And you
Shopping
imagine
Rexies.
that if you are driving around in your first car, one of your first cars, and you're in your Hyundai i30, whatever it is, who's to say in 10 or 20 years you might be like, oh man, I love that thing. It's the memories that you... I know, it's trippy though, right? It's the exact same thing, because I have a real soft spot with Geminis. Why? Because my first car was a Gemini. I just had some mad adventures, and so it's like, it's definitely a thing, man.
Yeah. Let's go for a drive. Come
20
with
years
us.
time on Mighty Car Mods i30 rebuilt.
All right, here it is. First drive in the 180.
It's awesome.
Feels good.
Feels really good. Wait,
Feels
I
light.
want to hear it, not on a dyno.
I'll give you just a little bit, Mark.
Sick. Love it.
Wow,
dude,
it sounds
so
amazing.
Good. That's so good.
I'm not sure just how low it is yet, so I still don't kind of trust any of these
It's got to come up a little
speed
bit.
bumps and stuff.
Like I said, it's had... Listen to it sing. The tune's great, man.
Oh, it sounds great. Feels so good. Oh, it feels just so fun to drive. It just, you know, it doesn't have so much power that you're worried that the back's going to kick out everywhere. It just feels fun and awesome.
It's like the right amount, isn't it?
Oh, so good. It's great. That is everything I could have hoped for and more. I'm starting to get the red mist.
Yeah.
I need to get to a racetrack for a full shakedown.
Yep.
Because I'm feeling myself wanting to do things that I can't do in this environment, and I'm going to do the right thing and try and contain that. Because I'm older and more mature now, Martin.
You know it's got more. You know it wants it.
Yeah, I know. I haven't even wound it out yet. But that is going to be a story for... Oh my God.
Unreal. It's so nice in here too. Like, we're not like in something where it's got the nice sounds and the nice go. It's actually a nice place to be in a 30-year-old Nugget.
I know. It's so good. And this for me is kind of pretty much going to be a daily. This is kind of what I'm going to get around in. So I don't want a really, really aggressive setup in terms of how the alignment is set. I just want something that is good for the street. It's really comfortable. There's nothing rattling. There's a couple of little things that I can hear that kind of we need to fix up. But
I think it's got some quite stiff bushes in it somewhere. Maybe in the diff. Oh, it loves it. That's rad. That's rad. This is a pretty awesome car, but we are up to the sort of last 5% of just fixing little things. Like, we had an issue with the power steering where we just blew a power steering hose and made it annoying to drive. And also it's just had this really annoying rattle.
Yeah, and those are little things that you absolutely want to fix, because like it's got a front mount, it's got a mad radiator, it's got a brand new turbo, like a brand new T28 from an S15. So we've done all the stuff to make it awesome, but there's a couple of little things that were not great. I want to talk prices quickly. When I bought my first 180SX in probably the late 90s, that's how old I am, it was $4,000. So it was 4 million yen.
My mates were paying 10 grand in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and so now 40, 50, 60, there was one for 70 a couple of weeks ago, absolutely crazy. But there's a problem with it. Let's send it up and show you what the issue is. My number plate is 180, and anybody that says that it's
One bot
is a dickhead, because it's not one bot. It's
one bot,
180, and he keeps saying it's one bot to
It
try
is
and
one
piss me
bot.
off, because one bot
It's
sounds like
only
that.
got one bot.
Yeah, I know,
It doesn't
Martin,
have cheeks.
but that kind of robot vomit number plate is kind of the number plate people have on Hondas, right?
Well, it's 180 turbo. It's that old school
Oh,
thing.
but is that one bow then?
No, that's 180.
No,
That's one bot. That's 180.
what makes it go from an 80 to a BO?
Because you've got
then?
a consonant following the zero. Everyone knows that with number plates, man. It's the number plate thing.
Everybody, it's 180. It's hard getting number plates these days
really
for your
is.
mad car because, like, that's gone.
Is it?
No, because people that are coal rolling, like, because it's trains.
Oh, Cummins.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's,
A Cummins diesel.
what are you talking about?
A Cummins diesel.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about coal rolling.
They
like
make
a
good
train.
cider too.
Who does?
Cummins.
Do they? Can you keep sending my car? I'll send my own car up into the sky. What else have you seen? Clag. That was gone.
Deed. For when they're both in the car.
All right. For when both people are driving, that's cool. What else? Moist, you can't get.
Can't get moist.
They've actually got a thing that if it seems a little bit rude, they just don't allow you to
get
do
rid
it.
of it. Yeah.
Which is weird.
And if they decide afterwards they don't like it, they reclaim your plate.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Right. Because remember you tried to get BG, CK,
Yeah.
UP,
Yeah.
and they were just like, nope.
Badger cock up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
For your Rock?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go. We're wasting the internet now.
Badly.
Properly wasting the internet. I apologise if you're in the middle of Alaska using a satellite Starlink to get the internet right now while trying not to be mauled by a bear. And these two dickheads are just talking shit, wasting your internet, and you're paying by the megabyte.
Really confusing. If
What's
you
that?
had a sheep farm, you'd be like, why are my sheep making all that noise? Just put the car up. Watch, ready? See? Now everyone with the sheep are like, oh, no, noise. You know when we swear it magically bars? Watch this. See?
Yeah.
And all you can hear is a sheep?
Yeah,
It's bizarre. Watch.
that's a goat.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
This whole time I thought it was a sheep.
Did ya?
It's a goat.
Yeah. Like when I go... They're all goats. So the exhaust is one aspect of this build that didn't get a whole lot of love because we already had some exhaust components that were on the original car and then we just had to modify them to fit. I've just counted all of these components. There are 17 different little chunks of pipe to make the whole thing. And I've undone a couple of bolts up there to try and accentuate the problem. But what you hear is it's so hard mounted. It just rubs, it knocks, it makes the whole car vibrate. And so we decided we would fix that with something that I'm about to show you that is freaking awesome.
You might be wondering why we use this exhaust system in the first place. It is the one the car came with, at least a good proportion of it is. Partly because it's already 3-inch, it already fitted. We thought it fitted really well. We later discovered it actually vibrates and rubs. And we thought maybe it had really hard engine mounts and it just seemed like a weird thing. But actually, the exhaust was rubbing on so many different points, it's basically not using the rubbers, which is the whole point of the rubbers, is to disconnect that vibration. The other thing is kind of hard today to get a good quality 180SX exhaust in Australia. And I say good quality like something you'd want to put on a build that's had this much effort put in. You can get like cheaper ones, but they're very noisy and we didn't want a really loud one. And 15 years ago, there'd be heaps on the shelf all over the place, but now from 180, it's kind of a specialised thing now.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't realise is you can get yourself a made-to-order exhaust for this car from Japan. Check this out. This here is a completely custom-made exhaust for the 180SX that we got from Japan. It is a Fujitsu system. This is not a sponsored video. We were proper customers. We ordered it and bought it. It was overnights, plural, parts from Japan. And the reason that we got one of these is A, they still make them brand new and they're made to order, but also this is what we got for your Super Turbo,
and
right?
it was excellent. Remember how good it was?
Yeah.
It just fit and it was beautifully made. And you might be wondering, why do they still make this stuff? Well, they don't really leave them on the shelf. The truth is they make these with big CNC mandrel bending machines and just load a program in. So your custom order one literally comes
comes through the door as an order, they punch it in, they get the pipe goes in the machine, it gets bent up, they do a couple of welds, and there's your 180SX exhaust system. It's kind of cool that manufacturing is still a thing, and also they can do it so inexpensively because I guess labour's a bit cheaper, but also the machines have come so far. Because to get this made from scratch, custom in Australia with our labour rates is like thousands of dollars.
There was also a period of time, remember when I was saying that you could get kind of a 180SX for 4 or 5 grand, then an exhaust may be half the cost of your car, whereas now we're talking about it being 5% of the cost of your car. So there's actually a business case for them to make it. I actually can't remember what we ordered. I hope it's a turbo back system. Otherwise we're getting a little bit custom with it. But we and you are about to find out. Let's see what we got. That's a catback, isn't it?
That's, I don't know. Don't know is the answer. There might be another box that has the rest of it in it though. We've got to have a look.
We've ended up with a catback system, which is okay because it means we'll be able to replace the main Frankenstein section of the pipe and make the Fujitsubo work with whatever is still left hanging off the turbo.
It was actually a while ago that we ordered this exhaust, so I couldn't remember exactly what it was that we ordered. So that is a catback system, but we can add it to the dump here. It's already got a performance 3-inch system that's going from the turbo back anyway. So this bit and this bit is actually not shit. So we're going to keep all of that. The rest of it can go
In the bin.
And we're just going to make sure that it all fits up and particularly fits with our aftermarket bar because it's a Vertex bar. It's kind of, everything's a bit wider and bigger just to make sure that it fits. So we will leave this on here, take it off from there, put it up, see if it works, and we might have to fabricate some stuff or it might just fit. So let's find out together. Last exhaust hanger coming off with this amazing exhaust hanger tool. Thank you, humble mechanic, for showing us that. All right.
What a weird exhaust that is.
But Martin, you did a great job with some of this. Look at this. Remember this here? I remember we had to get that distance right to make sure that it would actually move out far enough. But I got a feeling
We have the same similar issue, aren't we?
that if we lay this down, we're going to have to move those mounts further back for the tip to be in the same spot.
Part of the issue is you actually run into the end of the car. Like there's metal under there that means your exhaust can only go so far, so potentially you have to extend your tip or whatever.
But we'll just have to fit it up and have a look. It is made for a Type X, but maybe not with the massive kit on the back of it.
You can see where the rear of the car, like the bumper's meant to attach to this, and it is that much difference. Like that's how much fatter it is. And I reckon if you come with me, I reckon that is going to be the difference between that and that. Look at that. So that is the distance. That's how much fatter a Vertex bar is going to be. So yeah, we might have to take these off and move them, but then that won't be long enough. I don't know, we'll work it out.
The new system looks so good compared to the old one, and the quality of the build is exceptional. But we've now realised that we don't have everything we need because we don't have a new catalytic converter.
Both of these exhaust systems are 3-inch performance exhaust systems. The main difference being that the new Fujitsubo one doesn't have 50,000 different cuts and welds in it. There's also a bit more muffling to be done here. You can see there's a bit more size here instead of this kind of cannon style outlet. Then we've got our bends down here. We've got a resonator, and then down here we've got a bunch more pipes and then a catalytic converter. What I don't have on this one, because of what we bought, is a catalytic converter, so that would normally mean having to order something, or if your mate's been working on his Lavorg and you're really, really desperate for a high flow cat, you could get something like this.
Dude, that's my shit.
You can get something like this that is from this Subaru Lavorg, and even though this is a whole piece, you can see where it goes from the turbo back, you could just chop this off your Subaru project and put it, excuse me, mate. So we can just chop this. Now the thing to check is if this flange here actually fits. See if it does, this becomes quite a simple job.
You could just drive it like that.
That fits. So all we need to do is get, this is like an NVIDIA exhaust, nice system. We're gonna chop it right there. Excuse me, mate. You all right? We're gonna give it a chop right there. We're gonna add it to the rest of the Fujitsubo system.
That's my shit.
And then you're still talking.
That's my shit.
It's
you can't
ours.
just take it.
This is our shit. Can I have it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you buy me a burger.
I'll buy you a burger.
All right,
but it has to be a not burger, a sanitarian not burger, veggie burger. without avocado, because like you might have seen in our recent episode, when we took our Hilux out, avocados aren't vegan anymore.
But
Travesty, I know.
I do avocado.
What?
I do avocado. It's up on the hoist.
Holy shit. I'm stealing this from Martin's Lavorg. I'm cutting it. I'm sticking his Subaru shit on my Mad Nissan. Can you put yours in the back, please?
I can't. It's got to go sideways. The preference here is to go sideways. It's gonna slide in the best because it's got this hole's quite tight.
I'm gonna put 2 in the front.
Are you sticking your thumb in that one?
Hold on.
Stick your thumb in it, dude. Seriously.
What does that mean?
Put your thumb on the back and then push from the other side.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. There you go.
But can you?
If I hold this big pipe and then.
Can you just push from behind? Because
trying.
I'm holding my hands
You
there.
need to
Be
go
careful you
forward a
don't
bit.
squash my fingers. It's very tight.
Got it? Oh, dude, you're hitting this
I think
rubber
I'm in the
up
wrong
here.
hole. Hold on.
No, you've got the. No, it's the right hole. It's just a different rubber.
There it is. It just popped out the
rubber.
end. Can you get it in the
This
side
one
now?
has to go completely sideways.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get it through the first bit. Hang on.
Hold on.
No, you stick your fingers in that bit.
We'll do it together.
Ready?
Push.
3, 2, 1, go. Yes. Dude, it's hanging there perfectly.
There we go. That's great. So now let's
Awesome.
get the next piece on.
Cool. Do we need to use the little ring, the ring thing, this one? I'm assuming that's what it's for. It looks like a ring you put around the base of it and then sort of helps it.
Why do they use that instead of like a gasket?
I guess that is a gasket, right? You get a bit of movement on it. I'm guessing.
Maybe. We dropped something. All right, so
We've got some
now
bolts.
that one's going to go...
Oh, no, so that doesn't need a normal gasket because that is the gasket.
Put that on and then
not
we
on
will
this
measure
side.
up the rest. Just fell out.
There's another rubber you can put it through on this bit, which might help. It's holding it up, man.
There we go.
All right, and I'll nut through this one. So that can stay a bit loosey-goosey for now, and then we'll make up our little pipe.
So if we measure that out just with a measuring tape, that actually looks straight. Like it won't
probably-
need much angle, but the orientation of the flange will change. Look at that. I forgot that the end of the Mighty Car Mods these are our measuring tapes. I forgot they're magnetic, dude.
That's awesome.
Look at that, just holds on. So that is exactly, being Japan, I'm going to keep going in centimetres, Martin. That's 31 centimetres exactly. Welded it on. My welding's not fantastic, but it is functional and doesn't appear to have any holes in it where it can leak. So now we put the flange on it and then we can put it all back together.
Thanks to the Lavorg is now in place.
Thank you, Lavorg. Thank you to all our Subaru friends.
And straight away, the biggest change is doesn't hit anything. Before that would go, bah! Remember as soon as you moved it?
Perfect.
It fits really nice. And that's aftermarket sway bar as well, which don't always fit exactly the same as factory. I'm really happy with that.
That's great.
We bring it down and check the front.
Yeah, bring it down. I got to put a couple of bolts back in the top of the dump, off the back of the turbo, and then we'll just check everything else up there because there was an exhaust leak and we didn't know where it was, but since looking at that exhaust there are a couple of little holes and stuff in there, so that will fix that. We'll check the front and then yeah, happy days, people.
Due to our fat aftermarket bumper bar, we're probably going to have to extend the tip, but for now we're going to finish the install so we can go for a test drive.
The exhaust is on. We've spanner checked everything under here, just around the manifold, the dump and the turbo. So now, people, it's time to go for a drive, see what it sounds like.
It's not often in life when you get the chance to do over something that didn't go right the first time. And my original S13 from when I was a kid, well, those dreams went up in smoke, literally. So to have the chance to do it again and do it right was an opportunity that I was going to take and hold on to tight with both hands. Of course, I couldn't do it by myself, but with the help of a few mates along the way and a whole lot more time than we expected, this project truly did become my 180SX dream build. When it comes to sheer performance, fan base, ability, and historical significance of Japanese cars from the 1990s, there is nothing that even comes close to the 180SX. And that, my friends, is a fact.
Well, yeah, that's all true, unless you've got something that will destroy all Nissans.